Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the SaVeg podcast. And this episode...
Not just another episode.
It's a very special episode. And why is that, Rose? Why is it a special episode?
Because it's Christmas. And
well, it's Christmas, yes. And also, it's kind of, well, we started the podcast kind of end of November, but like we're going to say that this is right around the time that our podcast, the SaVeg podcast, is turning the ripe old age of 1 year old.
1 year old. How cute.
And if you want to see something even cuter, if you guys aren't watching the video, you should see what me and Rose are wearing right now for this podcast episode.
We decided to get festive. So I'm Rudolph.
Yep. And I'm Santa Claus, apparently.
Clearly, one of us put a little bit more effort.
Me. The funny thing is, too, is like, because we were like texting about this, and I was just like, oh, you know, we're going to get ready or whatever. And I didn't, we like didn't know what each other was going to wear or do.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, I'm going to throw this Santa hat on. And then Rose came on the camera and I was like, whoa. Like,
yeah. I wanted to like surprise you. So I wanted to like almost ask you to like record, get it all recording just so I can like pop in and be like, hey, Daniel, and get like your reaction. But
it was very surprising, Rose.
Yes. Daniel's reaction.
This is like a look that you should create like next year for a Christmas party. I think it would be super if there was like a festive Christmas party and you could be the hot Rudolph that shows up.
I might actually. I kind of enjoyed doing this like last minute makeup.
So let us know, guys, if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know in the comments section below what you think of Rose's look today.
Can you guys see? Like, oh my god,
glamorous.
Let's zoom you in for a second. Hi, hello. Can you see my makeup, guys? Oh my god.
We don't want this to go to Rose. We don't want this to go to Rose's head, though. You know, god damn.
Oh, my head be big already.
I'll be drinking wine for a different reason. My god.
Oh my god. Okay, you guys. So this episode, brace yourselves. We're gonna be drinking. It might be long, but we're gonna have a great time, aren't we?
Exactly. Yes, that's the plan.
Let's face it. You guys have nothing better to do because we're all in a pandemic. So you're gonna just listen to us.
We is all in lockdown. So
all in lockdown.
What are you drinking today, Rose?
I'll be drinking some red wine from Italia, Italian wine.
I'm drinking a white wine from Australia.
From Australia, really?
Yeah, and the
was
reason
it $8?
It was cheap, but that's not the reason why I picked it. And it's actually not even the best wine. But when I was in Australia, I went on a wine tour of a bunch of vineyards.
Oh, okay.
And the only one that I remembered because I got so drunk on this wine tour was Jacob's Creek. So I actually have been to their vineyard.
And isn't that like a really cheap one?
Yes. And it sucks because but actually to be fair, some of the wineries that we went to, because you often do this when you go on these wine tours, is they're like small, like bespoke ones that you could only really get in the region. You know what I mean? They don't have that. Like there's some other, like this is like Jacob's Creek is like a big producer, but like we went to a bunch of mom and pop shop ones as well. So
okay,
you know,
okay.
Hashtag
and you don't
support
remember
that local. No.
Support that local that you don't remember.
Yeah. This is the bad thing, you know.
What's the bad thing, Daniel?
I've been on several wine tours, right? I've been on lots of different wine tours. And
yes.
The problem with wine tours is you always go and you get excited and you want to learn stuff about the wine and, you know, but it involves wine, right? So you drink and you consume but before the end of the tour, you know, you're not going to remember everything, you know? You barely remember how the tour started.
Well, the problem is, Daniel, usually wine tours, speaking of wine, let's just get this open, okay? Wine tours are usually, meant for people to just taste the wine, not get wasted off the wine, which is what we do.
This is very true. And don't they say also technically, like, you're supposed to like taste it, but you're not supposed to swallow? Like, isn't that how you're supposed to like spit out?
That's no fun. You gotta swallow.
Oh my God. I think we're gonna have to change the PG rating on this particular episode, Rose.
What are you talking about, Daniel? I'm just talking about wine and wine tours. Okay, yep. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about wine.
Ooh,
that has a unique musk to it.
It's that $8 musk.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. It was 12. Okay.
Daniel, don't say that is not a defense.
I know.
That's okay, Daniel. I used to drink. I remember in the UK when we were first living there. When I was first living there, I was so broke, and I would never get wine that was like above 5 pounds.
The thing is about Europe, though, like, okay, maybe not so much in the UK, but like in other parts of Europe, like I remember when I was in Portugal, we went to the grocery store and we bought like a bunch of different types of wine. And I remember my friend from the UK was there and she got like a little bit more expensive of a wine. And I got the one that was like €2. It was like ridiculously cheap.
I know, it's so cheap.
And the one that was €2 was better. And I was like,
right.
Because there it was like, I don't know, you can get some really
good fresh or some shit.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
But in the UK,
me too. Same with Italy and stuff. Like, I would always get like really cheap wine because it was so cheap. You could get like $2, like €2 wine, and it was like always good.
Yeah, you would like have it. And be like, oh my God, this is like amazing. I love that. Like, that's one thing I like miss about Europe is like how cheap the wine was. It was nice,
It was nice, Daniel. Maybe we should make our own wine.
God damn, that's difficult.
Is it possible?
I think it is. No, you know what what was it that somebody made? Who made that? Someone made gin.
Ooh, gin.
Yeah, apparently it's not. Well, it's a process, but it's like you can make it at home, like gin, and you can make like I think
you can make wine at home too.
True. I think it was my cousin that made it, and he put like all kinds of like berries and random shit in it, and it was like so good. So I think
gin or wine.
Gin.
Are you supposed to put berries in gin, or did he just make it like a gin cocktail kind of thing?
Maybe it was a gin cocktail, or maybe it was diffused in that process. There was some berry diffusion. It was like, how they have like vodka infused with citrus. It's like gin infused with berries.
Oh, I see. Guys, you want some ASMR? That is some wine ASMR, guys.
That's making me need to go to the bathroom. Goddamn, Rose.
Oh, goddamn. Guys, not only are you getting a podcast, you're getting a costume show and some ASMR.
Well, I'll wait. I was just about to start drinking mine, but I was like, wait,
cheers!
Let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers. Wait, let's do a cheers to the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Ooh.
Delicious.
Oh.
What's wrong with your wine?
It's delicious. It's actually really nice, but it's super sweet. And I forgot.
Oh, God.
Because it's a Moscato. Moscato, I think that's how you say it. They're like very, very sweet
They're
wines.
really sweet. Yeah.
Oof, that's going to give me a sugar
But you
rush.
love that. You love those sweet ones.
I do
Daniel's
like them, but
a little bit of a basic bitch.
I is. I'm very, look at me I'm bringing out my 16-year-old white girl realness, drinking a sweet white wine here today on this Christmas
that's a
episode.
little, I mean, when I was first drinking, the first thing that you drink is like coolers. Do you remember drinking coolers?
Oh my God, do I ever?
Oh my God, those were the worst. I think I drank them until I was like 18 something. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I don't think I've ever drank them ever again.
I've had them before, like on one-offs where I'd have like just one cooler. Cause it's like, it's almost like a fruity drink kind of. But like, I remember like one of the first times that I ever got drunk, like years ago. And I was drinking, I think it was like Mike's Hard Lemonade or something like that.
Oh God, it's the worst.
And it's so sweet. And I just remember like also too, the dangerous thing with coolers is because like at least if you make a drink with like vodka or something like that, you do get sometimes that little kickback, or you're drinking alcohol, right? But like with coolers, they're so sweet and sugary that you can drink them like juice. And especially for like young kids that are, or not young kids, but like, 18-year-olds that are enjoying, supposed to enjoy responsibly. It's so easy to overdrink. And I remember
I thought they were always kind of gross though.
Yeah.
Like they never tasted good,
Yeah.
Did you like the taste?
To be honest, no, I don't remember enjoying it that much. And like similar to you, I think it's been a very long time since I've had coolers. Like now, if I have a sweet drink, like I don't mind a sweet wine or like an ice. I really like ice wine.
Ooh,
was really
ice
good.
wine.
Or like or like a nice cocktail that's maybe a bit sweet, but like that's what I like now. I don't want like a cooler. Like if I went to a house party and there was like the only thing to drink there was coolers, I'd be like, hey, what's going on here?
Well, what kind of 18-year-old house party are you going to, Daniel?
I would not be at an 18-year-old party. Let me tell you that. Well, I can tell you that for
they'd be calling the cops on you.
Oh, God damn, bro. we is old, but we ain't that old, okay?
I did get ID today.
Did you?
I was wearing a mask covering half my face, but still.
True. That's a good sign.
Have you ever gotten ID'd and then they like ask you to take off the mask?
Well, I don't get ID'd, Rose. So that's a you problem, not a me problem ever. So
usually they don't ask to take off the mask because like I don't know. See, that's like the awkward thing right now because what are you supposed to do when you ID somebody? Like you can't really, Anyway, so one time some guy was like, "Can you what did he?" And he said it in like a weird way too, and he was kind of funny, so I thought he was joking. Yeah. He was like, "I need to see your jawline." I was like, "What?"
That's so random.
Yeah, I was like, "Are you joking?" And then he's like, "No, I'm serious." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I took off the mask.
I'll show you my jawline. Like, so
you just need to see the jawline. You need to make sure that the jawlines were identical.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of nice. That's nice that you still get ID'd,
Again, I was wearing a mask, but yeah, it depends on where I go. There are certain places I go and then they like know me.
Because you're a regular there?
Oh, God. It's the green hair, okay? Everyone, like, once they see me once, they know it's me.
Exactly. I think because you have, like you said, you like do have very distinct hair. Like,
God,
all the different colors that you've had have always really stood out. So
maybe I should dye it a different color, Daniel. What should I go next?
Well, you know what my vote is.
Your favorite is red.
I love the red hair. But then also, I don't know, like what colors were you debating between, Rose?
I was thinking red as well. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try something crazy.
Damn. Well, I mean, what color haven't you dyed it now?
I feel like I've done it all except for like really blonde, which I don't really want to do.
Don't do that, please.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Oh, God damn. You want to tell me how you really feel, Daniel?
No, I mean, I'm sure you could pull it off, but like also it's really bad for your, like really bad
it's
for your
very
hair.
bad for the hair. That's the main reason I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it has to be something a little bit more darker toned, like not too dark, but like nothing too light. Like I can't really do pastel. I mean, I could, but I don't want to ruin my hair further. So
yeah. What about like a dark blue? Have you had a dark? I know you had
I did a blue before the green. Remember?
No, I remember the blue, but it was more of a light blue, wasn't it, or a lighter blue?
It was more like a blue, like a true blue, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go dark though. Do I want to go dark?
Or you could.
I feel like once you go dark, it's hard to go light. So
yeah, true. Wow.
I don't know, Daniel. I don't know. Should we have a little poll somewhere?
What color should Rose dye her hair?
Guys.
Yeah.
Vote for the color.
I was thinking about maybe I'll dye my hair,
You should.
Green.
Perfect. We can match.
Was it you or Angela that I sent that, or I did like there was like a filter on Instagram. Do you remember? And I was like doing a story or something, and it had this thing that made your hair look green, and I did mine green. Did I send it to you? I can't remember.
I think Angela did the filter, and she did like the green hair. And then did you do the same filter that she did?
Probably, yeah. That's probably what happened.
God damn. Anyway, are we talking about stories this week, or are we just gonna?
Today isn't stories. Today is answering people's questions.
And just chilling and drinking. It's happy hour with Rose and Daniel. It's been a while.
Exactly. It has been a while. And there's actually been quite a few like people requesting, being like, have another drinking episode. So, here we are, guys. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes, happy holidays. Oh my God. Well, by the time this comes out to the public, it's going to be post-Christmas.
It is going to be post.
So hopefully you guys had a good Christmas.
Oh yeah, true. So for the Patreons, hope you guys have an amazing Christmas, because they're going to get it on Wednesday, and then
exactly.
Yeah. So it should be good. Shall we?
It should be good.
Shall we dive into some of the questions?
Oh my God, did we get? I got some questions on my Instagram as well. And are you filming with your goddamn phone?
What do you think, Rose?
Oh my God, you need to get yourself a camera, please, Daniel.
Okay,
Daniel, we cannot work under these conditions.
So I want to start off with one of the Patreon questions because it was so
Daniel
funny.
Daniel likes to ignore me when I lecture him.
This is true, accurate.
Okay, go
Daniel.
I'm gonna take a selfie while you do that.
Okay, you take a selfie. This is what I have to deal with all the time. You know, Rose just constantly taking selfies. That's fine. So I really like this question.
Tell me.
Because it's quite funny. I think I did send it to you already. So, okay. So for celebrating the year of the podcast, here's a juicy question for us, Rose.
Oh, juicy. Daniel, I don't think I'm ready for this.
Get ready for it. Have you ever fought over a man? Perhaps his sexual orientation was unknown, or it included both of us.
Oh my God. Do you have an answer?
Well, yeah. I mean, kind of. Because, no. Like, we've never, ever fought over a guy ever, or even
no.
And the reason being, there's like a fundamental reason why this would never be an issue.
What's the reason? Because
we have very different types, like completely different types.
Do you think so? Do you think we have completely different types?
Maybe not completely different, but like, I don't know.
That's true, because I remember some guys that Daniel was like into in university, and I was like, no. There was this one guy that you were like super into that was like always at the gym. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to repeat what I called him, but he was not cute. Okay. Yeah. He was not cute, but Daniel was like all over this guy. And I was like, no. And yeah.
Yeah. Cause I think that's why I think that's never ever like really come up, to be honest. Like, yeah,
it's true. You're right.
You like more like typically like kind of that like kind of nerdy guy, you know,
okay.
like.
I don't agree, but kind of. Okay, no. This is my type.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Do you want to hear my type?
Remember, this is the public episode, Rose.
Yes, I know. Oh my God. I know. I feel very vulnerable right now. So my type is like kind of okay, yes. I do kind of like the nerd. When I say nerdy, I mean a guy that's like, I think I mean a guy that's kind of smart.
Yeah.
I'm not really into the really hunky type of guys, like, you know, like Daniel, you're into that kind of stuff.
Exactly. I really like you know, if the guys are like super athletic and like, you know, the typical kind of like, I guess, jock guys, like that.
Yeah, you like that kind of shit, which I'm like, no, I'm more like, you know, the guy next door, still kind of good looking. But usually not like super good looking. Like I like the ones that are kind of like, you're like kind of handsome, but you're not like, you know, on the cover of a magazine kind of handsome.
It's like a not intimidating good looking.
Yes. And also like they have to be kind of smart. So that's what I mean by nerdy. So they're kind of smart, but they're not like, you know, socially nerdy.
Yeah. No. That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
So it's not like nerdy. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And you know what?
Yes.
Listeners, if that floats
different
your boat,
strokes,
you know,
for different folks.
This is why it's so important that we all have different types, though, because otherwise people will be left out.
Everyone gonna be loved. Exactly. Everyone gonna be loved.
But yeah.
So tell us a little more about your type, Daniel.
So I just really like guys that are like that take care of themselves and are like into fitness.
Oh, really?
You know,
I like guys that don't take care of themselves and are really not into fitness. Just kidding.
And yeah, basically they have the stereotypical like good looks. You know what I mean? Like the kind of you know, that kind of Hollywood look, I guess you could say. Yes, that's what you lust over. But that's probably why I'm single still. You know. It's unachievable. Why, you got the Hollywood good looks. Oh, you think so, bro? Damn. Would you be intimidated by me if I was a straight man coming up to you at a bar? I can't even imagine you as a straight man, so. If I was like, hey, Rose. Hey, how you doing? I can't. I swear, as the years go on, the worse and worse you become at trying to be a straight man. Yeah. Although, you know what? Try it, Daniel. Do it for a second. Come on, go. Hey, Rose, how's it going? I can't. The thing is, we also shouldn't stereotype, though, because there are obviously, of course, you know, there's straight guys that might be more effeminate, that might have, you know, speak similar to me. Who knows? Of course. Just like there's like gay guys that are more masculine, all that kind of stuff. That's another thing. I do like guys that are typically more on. He likes straight guys. I do not, Rose. Do not put that in. Do not throw that Daniel, out into this podcast, okay? I'm throwing it out there. You like straight acting guys. Okay. Again, stereotypically straight acting men. Oh, God, Rose, you are throwing some Christmas shade. I didn't realize it was snowing over here, okay, well, guys? I didn't realize we'd be lying on the podcast. We talked about your tap. Exactly, but obviously I don't like straight guys because there's just no point. Like, you've liked straight guys before, though, haven't you? Yeah, I've had, like, crushes before, yeah. Oh goddamn, Rose, you be onto something here,
But like,
Rose.
don't you? Maybe you're like, maybe there's something in the back of your mind that's like, maybe I can turn him. You know?
No.
No,
Definitely not. No.
really.
Because I will put this out in the podcast.
Okay, put it out there. Put it out there.
One of the things that is very not enjoyable, and for any of you listeners that happen to be part of, you know, maybe recently coming out, maybe finding out new things about your sexuality, you know, it's a journey. And the thing is, from my personal experience, I try. This is going to sound bad. It's not that I try to avoid people that are, you know, coming to terms with their sexuality, but I've just been burnt in the past by guys that like haven't been comfortable enough to be themselves, basically, or for whatever reason haven't been able to like come out of their shell. And yeah, that's why I would never go down that route, because it's just like, it does more harm than good. And I think, you know, people just need their time to come out, and, you know, give them their time. And if they do, they do. If they don't, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one, because like, with like sexuality and coming out and all this stuff, like, you know, there's a lot that people are dealing with. And yeah, because I'm like referring more to like kind of closet cases, or guys that maybe haven't accepted that they're like bisexual or whatever it may be.
Yes.
So I'm referring more to that. But again, if I knew that about someone, I'm probably going to like, that's automatically going to make me step back. Not because they're necessarily a bad person, but I've just dealt with that kind of stuff in the past, and I just never want to go down there again.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. It's smart.
That'd be a bumpy road that ends on a cliff.
You've been down that cliff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good place to be.
Exactly. I don't want to go back. So
it's like when you're younger, you just like, I feel like, you know, you like guys that like you just know are not really like good. Like I feel like the younger you are, you like the more kind of like not so good, you know, guys that are a bit of a mess. You know, maybe they're like bad boys or whatever it is.
I feel like we all have,
but now you're just like, yeah,
we all have a bit of a bad boy phase, you know, like where we kind of like the guys, but
it gets old.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I think when you're young, you're a lot more carefree, right? Like when we were in our early 20s, we didn't care. And we could also date people that maybe it wasn't going to be long term, because we're like, whatever, we're in our 20s. We have lots of time.
I mean, we can still do that now, Daniel.
I mean, we could, but like now we're both like,
what's the rush, Daniel?
I have a biological clock that be ticking, okay? No, but like now I want something more from a relationship, and I'd want to be something more serious. So I'm not going to. And I think as you get older, you generally, that's what you want, or most people do. And then you're just not going to settle for. So much pressure. I know, god damn.
That's why it's hard to find love.
And living in the city that we're in doesn't help either, Rose. So there is no one on my
And that's another reason why we haven't fought for a man, because there ain't no quality men out there.
Exactly. Plus, like, you know, I mean, I guess the situation has never presented itself, because like, we've never met a guy that's like bisexual that we're both into. So
exactly.
I just know the kind of people that we both kind of generally like, and it is quite. They're not really. There's not really that much overlap. Once in a while, maybe we'll be like, "Oh, we both thought this guy was cute," like Shia LaBeouf, for example. We're like, "Oh, we kind of both," but that's just like a one-off. Most of the time, it's like we're very different in that aspect. So
yeah, exactly. And even if we both thought like a guy was cute, like usually he'd be like either straight or gay. I feel like I very rarely meet like a bi guy, although I'm sure there's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, normally they would be like straight or gay. So you're just like, you know, so already like, you know, we get our, you know, we can take one.
Yeah. We can just be like, okay,
one of us has to take.
Exactly. Okay? So, you know, when we go out, you know, that we're like, there's something here for everyone. So
if I meet a hot gay man, automatically we'll introduce to Daniel. Unfortunately, no one is good enough for my Daniels.
Oh, goddamn, Rose. That'd be nice as hell. I'm blushing.
You are blushing.
No, it's.
Oh my god, are we going to talk about like? Are you doing all right? Are we going to talk about your like situation or no? God. Do you want to cut that out?
I mean, no, I could. I mean, it's not really. Okay, I'll tell you guys
what
happened.
So Daniel went through a little traumatic experience yesterday. And I felt really bad. And I was like, oh my God, are we even going to be able to record this podcast?
Well, I almost was like, I was on the verge of being like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, but it's fine now. So, well, it's not fine now.
The alcohol will help.
Exactly. But no,
Tell the story, Daniel.
The other day, like obviously like during this lockdown and stuff, I'm like a bit not concerned, but I'm like, I want to try to maintain my fitness as much as I can. And I was doing a workout last night, and it wasn't even like a crazy workout. It wasn't super hard. Finished the workout, felt fine. Went upstairs, and my parents were like, "Oh, so what workout did you do today?" And I said, "Oh, I did lower body." And then I went to go like do a squat to show my parents to be like, "This is what I was doing downstairs," and because this is the kind of stuff we talk about at my house. And then literally like I started doing the squat, and then all of a sudden like and I've never ever had lower back issues like ever, and all of a sudden it was like I just like pulled a muscle on one side, and it felt so painful, and I like basically went down to the ground, and I was like on the ground just like,
oh god,
in pain. Yeah, it was bad. And then I crawled to bed, and I remember sleeping like last night, and I was like, oh my god, I just really really hope that like today is better, because like yesterday I couldn't walk. I didn't get up to walk. I had like crawled.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god. So then today I woke up, and luckily it's like a bit better today. Like it's still kind of painful, and I'm walking like very slow, but it definitely feels like what I think is probably a pulled muscle. So I think maybe I just pulled something somehow, but like I wasn't lifting anything heavy or like doing a crazy workout. Like some of my workouts are way more intense than the one that I did yesterday. And I've never, it's just like, sometimes you can do something weird, like twist your body in a weird way, I guess. So
sometimes you just pull something. Exactly. It's weird. I don't know why, but goddamn, Daniel, I'm glad you're okay.
But it's definitely
makes you appreciate being able-bodied, doesn't it?
100%. And it made me like last night I was like going through like these things in my head that I was like, oh my god, what if my back's like fucked up forever now, and like all of this stuff, because like that would be horrible. You know what I mean? From one little thing that's like,
Oh anyway, god. Well, I'm glad you're good. Mm-hmm. I hope you feel completely better soon.
I know. I'm hoping tomorrow we'll just wake up and just feel like a kind of sore muscle.
But don't be doing some crazy workouts for a while, okay?
No, I'm not going to. Like,
just do some walking, nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm. That be the plan. But yeah, that really, really hurt.
Aww.
So it just sucked. It just sucks.
That like really hurt, Charlie.
That really hurt. Because I really wanted to do some more like walking and stuff. Like yesterday, before that situation happened, I had like the best day. I went downtown, got myself a coffee, walked all over, did some Christmas shopping, got this like amazing wrap from this like kind of cafe / grocery store in Inglewood. And like, it was just such a beautiful day to like walk around the city and stuff. Like it was so nice. It was so good. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was all that walking you did.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? It could have been a multitude of factors, but like, sometimes if like you hear about people like lifting something heavy and then they pull something in their back, like that like makes more sense than just like showing my mom a squat and like pulling something out. So, so annoying.
I remember when I was young, I would like randomly, maybe it was like in gym class or something. I'd randomly like sometimes get like a sharp pain like on my neck, and it would feel like something snapped in my head or my neck or something. It was and it was like really hot. Have you ever gotten that? Anyway,
I think so.
That's scary. I've gotten that a couple times, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel like my head is like, anyway.
Our bodies do weird things. I remember one time you, I remember you scared me, not scared me, but like, do you remember we were like going to a bar or something in London, and we had a few drinks at our house, and on the walk you had to sit down because your body was like, oh my god, some kind of way.
Yeah, I used to get that where if I don't know exactly what caused it. It could be multiple things, but sometimes I would drink and my body would feel achy, like my upper body. And sometimes it gets like pretty bad, especially in the beginning. So usually it kind of goes away after a little bit. Yeah. But like, I used to get that sometimes. I don't know why though. I remember the same thing happened in Ibiza when I was with Chrissy. Yeah. And like, we like drank a lot, and then because we were pre-drinking, because in Ibiza like the drinks are really expensive. Yeah. So we were walking, and I was like, oh my god, I need to like sit down because it was like painful. God, this be poison. God damn,
and we still doing it.
It'd be a delicious poison.
Mm-hmm. God damn. Okay, so that was our first question. So thank you very much for that one. So just as an FYI, we have never fought over a man. And I don't think because of our our we like to sample different not sample.
Yes.
We like different things, right? So
we shop in different aisles, you know?
Yeah. Definitely
Yes.
different aisles. And even
Different
if
departments.
even if that person crossed both aisles, if you catch my drift, they like men and women. They still wouldn't be in the aisle that we'd be looking in.
And you know what? Our friendship is too strong to be broken up by a man. Okay.
Exactly. God damn, Rose. Amen. Preaching to the choir.
Preach.
Cheers.
I mean, to be fair, I've never fought with anyone with like about a man, anything like that. That's never happened to me. I don't know about yous.
And also, I think like the thing is also, and maybe I'm like coming at this at the wrong angle, but I think if I was with a guy, or not with a guy, but there was a guy in my life that was like also pursuing one of my friends, be it a guy or a girl, and pursuing me, that would be a turnoff for me, where I would be like, nope, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna get into that kind of hot mess. So it would actually be more of a turnoff.
That's the thing. If I like somebody and like my friend likes somebody and the guy likes my friend more, then like that's just too bad for me. Like, why would I fight? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to fight over a guy that doesn't like me.
Because guys aren't worth it, you know? God damn.
Oh, god damn. Preach.
They disappoint you. No, I'm just kidding. Some guys out there are nice. So,
some guys.
We just got to find some nice ones, Rose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's plenty of nice ones. Doesn't mean we want to date them.
God damn.
Little bit of wine and the SaVeg coming out. Okay, I have one here. Let's see.
Okay.
Are you spiritual in some way? She's asking both of us. Are you both spiritual in some way? Daniel, would you like to answer this?
I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily like super spiritual. I do think that I believe in like there's some kind of higher power. I don't know what that is. Some like, but that's kind of, I'm not super spiritual or like religious. That's kind of my,
you know what my answer is? God, no.
Very firm no.
I am not spiritual or religious. And I don't really believe, I don't believe in a higher power. Unfortunately, sometimes I wish I did. Sometimes I wish. But
I don't know. I just think, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely do believe that there's some kind of.
What do you think is out there, Daniel?
I don't know, but there's definitely, because I feel like there's quite often, I don't believe in like a God or things like that, but like I do believe there's like some stuff that we just can't explain. I'm very much an advocate of science, and I believe that there's like scientific explanations for just about everything, but there's those few things that where we can't actually explain them, at least now. Maybe in the future we can, who knows, but that part of me makes me wonder, well, what else is going on? You know what I mean?
I mean, there's definitely more things out there that we can't see or explain. In terms of like we've talked about, obviously Earth is not the only thing that's in this universe. There's obviously so much.
You're gonna scare me. God damn.
What do you mean? What?
That scares me. When I start to think about that whole,
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's stuff outside of the planet, essentially.
Yeah.
Do I think it's spirits? Not necessarily. I think it's more so like aliens.
Yeah.
And like extraterrestrial beings.
Things. Yeah.
Exactly. But not really spiritual.
Yeah, this is what I always think about. You know how there's like so many people that are like, oh, there's not aliens, or we call them aliens, but maybe there's something else. That's just our name for them. But they're like, oh, there's they don't believe that exists. But then I'm like, well, we know that like Earth is literally like a speck of dust in this massive galaxy. So I'm just like galaxy upon galaxies, where I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be some other stuff going on.
Absolutely.
Oh, god damn.
Like we can't be that self-absorbed to think that we're the only ones in this universe,
Well, sometimes, Rose, when I hang out with you,
You think I'm self-absorbed? God damn.
Hang on a sec here, Daniel. I'm just going to take a selfie, okay?
I'm sorry, Daniel. I work hard for this makeup.
That's
okay?
true. That's true.
And I don't think I think this lighting is too harsh.
It looks really good in the Skype lighting.
Yeah.
Like it looks really nice in there. Well, I did take a screenshot, so maybe I can send that to you.
Lord. Anyway.
Lord.
So answer is I'm not spiritual. Daniel doesn't really know.
Doesn't know, yeah. I'm confused about many things in life,
Do you want to ask? Do you have the questions in front of you?
I don't, but I sent you a screenshot of them.
Oh, did you? Just now?
Yeah. No, it was I think it was from before.
Okay.
There was like.
Right. Okay. I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. This one's funny. Most sad looking, depressing vegan meal you've both have ever seen. And what was the situation? I've seen a lot of sad, depressing meals.
True, but we've had one very recently that was
I know exactly
very
what you're gonna
sad
talk about.
and very depressing. So Rose and I decided one evening we were going for a nice stroll, and we'd passed this place that did like grilled cheese sandwiches, but it did say that it was like
we will not name it.
Yeah, we won't name it, but they had like a vegan. There was a vegan menu. When we walked past one day, we're like, "Oh my god, we have to try this place! Like vegan grilled cheese, that's freaking amazing." So we went back, decided to get these vegan grilled cheese sandwiches, and mine was like a vegan grilled cheese.
We both
got
the same one. It was like a mushroom.
Yeah, and we got some fries, and honestly, it was horrible. Like it was like not very flavorful. It was like
the cheese was weird.
Yeah, it was just, there was so much, and even the fries, like nothing was delicious. And,
Yeah.
and I remember it was like, it was quite expensive too. Like it wasn't cheap.
For what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, for what it was.
I mean, it
was
wasn't
just
like crazy, but like for what it was like 2 pieces of bread with like some shitty cheese. And it was like not good at all. And I was like, oh my God, I could literally make one at home for like 5,000 times better.
Yeah.
With just like regular old bread.
I know.
And just store-bought vegan cheese.
Yeah. So that was a really sad one. What are some other ones? Can you think of another example, Rose, of like one?
Oh God. Well, you know, I was just watching YouTube the other day, and I watched a video by Unnatural Vegan. Have you seen her videos? We've talked about her, I think, before on this podcast.
I think I've seen like maybe one
Anyways,
or two.
so she used to be like a raw vegan. And now she like very much is against kind of raw veganism and that kind of stuff. And I find her kind of entertaining. So I do watch her videos, and she does like debunking, you know, science type of videos.
Okay.
But one video she just did was like a what I ate in a day, but she ate like how she used to eat when she was raw. And I was like, oh my God, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like, and she was like, she woke up, she's like, oh my God, I wish I could have coffee, but I was really against coffee, so I can't even have coffee.
Oh my gosh.
And then she's like, I'm just going to eat these 2 bananas for breakfast. And then she had like, I don't know what she had for, maybe another smoothie for lunch, like banana, strawberry, like nothing else in it, just like, you know. And then for dinner, she had this like giant salad, just like greens and like tons of veggies. Again, I like salads, but like it just didn't look appetizing.
Yeah.
And like,
that's a tough
and it was like
one.
some cashew dressing. And she's like, I can't remember if she put any salt in, because she was like also against salt at some point. Like these raw diets, I feel like are really kind of depressing.
Well, I think when I think of raw, I just think of how much I would feel limited. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah.
You can't cook anything, right? So you're eating like just raw.
Well, to be fair, okay, like some raw stuff like is not bad. Like I've eaten some, you know, at some raw like vegan restaurants, and they're like pretty good, you know, like it's good. There's a lot of flavor. They use a lot of like nuts and like they use a lot of different things to like flavor the stuff, which like I really like. But the problem with like the diet that she was following is like it was like low fat raw. So it wasn't just raw, but it was like high carb, low fat. So it's like you can't even have like the good things that make the diet really good, like avocados and nuts and like seeds and, you know, lots of salt and just like flavor.
Yeah.
And then instead you just eat like fruit, which again, I like fruit, but I don't want it every single day. And I don't like, no. I don't want to eat it for breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, I don't think I could
That's
do
depressing.
it.
No,
maybe I should try doing raw for a day, you know, just to see how it goes.
I was like, maybe I'll do it for a day just for a video, but I'm like,
you should do the raw. You should do it for a week, Rose. Raw vegan
I'd kill
for
myself.
a week.
I think I would actually die.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's so many people that do that raw vegan diet that just seem to come off it. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't
because
really,
it's like not sustainable.
Yeah, I feel like
and there's no point.
Yeah, I feel like it's quite difficult, and I think of all the vegan meals that I love, and
they're
like,
all cooked.
Yeah. And literally, I'm like, well, I couldn't eat anything. Well, I mean, no, you still can. Like you said, there are some options and stuff, but I just feel like...
But it's so limited, and like, I don't want to live that life, you know? I like a hot steaming bowl of rice and pasta, and then they like try to, you know, make zoodles, like zucchini noodles, and make it, you know, seem like it's pasta. Let's face it, it's just zucchini.
Yeah.
Okay?
Zoodles,
Don't lie to me, okay?
Exactly. Zoodles ain't fooling no one, okay? Don't get me wrong.
Nobody.
I like them sometimes, but they ain't replacing pasta. I can tell you
No
that much.
kidding, right? I love when people like pretend that it's like actually pasta. I'm like, okay, who are you trying to fool? Okay, it's zucchini. Stop. Anyways, I'm gonna turn down this like brightness for a second, just a little bit.
Is it so you can take another selfie, Rose?
No, Daniel. There you go. That's better. I look less washed out. What were you saying, Daniel?
I was saying,
Were you being rude?
Nope. I was just saying, make sure your camera's still recording, Roses.
It is. There'd be a red light.
Good stuff. Okay, just checking on you.
You already finished one glass?
I have. I'm on to my second one. Uh-oh. This is
Goddamn,
trouble.
Daniel, you be back with the vengeance.
It's helping my back. You know, well, this is like the first time I've drank in like
In a while.
so long. Like I can't even.
Because you're at your parents'.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you any credit until you actually don't live with your parents.
But the thing is, Rose, like, let's be honest. Right now, there's no point to move out.
I mean, yes, I'm not saying you should move out. I'm just saying the only reason why you're not drinking a lot is because you're at your parents.
This is true.
And you can't really go out.
Well, exactly. Because as soon as things open up and the summer's back, or if things open up in the summer, let me tell you, I'll be back with a vengeance. Oh God.
What was the thing you said the other day to me? You were like, I don't think I actually like alcohol that much. And I was like, Daniel, who are you trying to fool? Okay.
Well, it's not. Okay, it's not that I don't like it. Like, I do enjoy it. But again, the only time I ever do it is if I'm going out with people. You know what I mean? I'm very much a social drinker. Like, even this right now, yeah, okay, I'm at my house technically by myself, but we're together, you know, virtually. So that's why I'd be doing it.
Yeah, I'm also
you know?
a social drinker. I don't drink by myself usually. Because if I drink by myself and if I drink socially, there'd be a problem.
Yeah, we would have problems. Not that there's anything wrong. Like, some people enjoy like a beverage by
like
themselves.
a glass of wine. Yeah. For me, I'm just
Exactly.
like, you know what? Like when I drink with other people, I drink enough. So I don't want to be drinking.
You drink
even
enough
a
for that whole
glass.
week. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, you don't have the question. Daniel, why I got to do all the work around here?
I don't know, Roses, because you're so good at it, you know? You look so beautiful. That's why I want you to read all the questions.
Do you want me to read the Korean one?
Yeah, what does it
and
say?
tell you what it said. So somebody responded in Korean, which I thought was funny. And she said, 언니는 뭔데 이뻐요? 내 마음을 훔쳐갔어. It's so cute. Do you know? Okay. She says, oh, why are you so pretty? You've stolen my heart. But she put 언니. Okay, so like 언니 in Korean is like, have I taught you the Korean, like the way that we address people in Korea? So basically, oh my God, I feel like this table, I cannot like control this. Anyway.
Speaking of that though, before you start telling me about the different types of addressing people in Korean, there's so many videos that I've been editing with you in this table, and like halfway through the video, it's like starting to go down, but you're so professional. You just keep talking and then it comes back up. It's like you're on like a roller coaster ride. I'm like, what is going on?
This table, guys, this table is like a, what do you call it? Height adjustable table. But like if I put my arms on it, it'll kind of go down and I don't even notice it going down. And anyways, so I just have to keep adjusting it. I do apologize. Not that you guys care. I don't think you care. But anyway, so in Korean, let me give you guys a little Korean lesson nobody asked for. Okay?
Yep. I want to hear it.
So in Korea, we address people according to age hierarchy or just hierarchy in general. So very rarely will we call someone by their name if they are older than us or some sort of authority figure.
Okay.
So what you would do is in Korea, if you're a woman, then you would call, if you're a girl, you would call an older man, like slightly older. Again, it depends on the context, but a slightly older man, you would call him oppa. Okay, so you could call your brother oppa if he's older than you, or just somebody that you know that you're like kind of friends with. You call him oppa if he's older than you. And then if someone is a girl and you're a girl, so if I'm a girl and then somebody else is a girl and they're a little bit older than me, I would call her 언니, which is why this girl said 언니. She called me 언니. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Because you'd be older than her.
Exactly. Or sometimes, actually, I remember like it doesn't necessarily have to be that I'm older. It could be someone that like you don't really know. You're kind of around the same age.
Okay.
But then you call her 언니.
It's like a respect thing,
kind
right?
of, yeah. Because I remember when I was like in Korea, when I was like in high school, I would go shopping in this like place called Dongdaemun, which is like a famous like shopping area in Seoul. And like I was like clearly very young. I was like 16 or 15 years old. And all these like women that were like, you know, in their 20s or 30s would be like, Anni, because like they were like salespeople. So they're trying to get my attention. So they would call me Anni. But like it doesn't really make any sense because anyways.
It doesn't make really any sense, eh?
God, I can't talk, Daniel. I'll be drinking wine.
It'd be the wine.
And if you're a guy, you would call a guy that's older than you Hyung and a girl that's older than you Nuna. So it's Anni, Hyung. Yeah, no, it's very complicated.
I'm going to get well, you're going to have to give me a crash course because I did a poll on my Instagram asking people where I should go for my next big trip and South Korea won out. So I guess I'm going to South Korea.
One out of which one, Daniel?
What's that?
What was the other choice?
Argentina. It was actually pretty close though. It was like, I think it was like 60% to 40%.
I think I voted South Korea.
You did. So I guess I'm going to South Korea next year.
You better come with me because nobody gonna understand you.
Especially if I've been having a few glasses of wine, you know?
Oh my God, it's going to be just as foreign to me almost. It's weird when I go because it's like I'm Korean, so I understand, but also I feel foreign.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird kind of place to be. But I would love to go next year. Okay, you know what? Let's make this happen. Next year, let's go. I got to go, man.
You do. It's been like really overdue for you.
It has been.
And I've never been. I was thinking because like I'm supposed to go to I have to if again depending on what happens with this whole pandemic and stuff, but I'm supposed to go to the UK in end of June. beginning of July. But I was thinking then maybe we'll go to South Korea like mid to end of September, depending on how that works, like with our schedules.
We could probably make it happen. Fall would be nice.
Yeah, because then it's like not super hot there either, right?
Yeah, because it's way too hot in the summer, I think.
Yeah.
My God, I haven't been there for 10 years.
That's
Can you
crazy.
believe it? It'll be 10 years next year, yeah.
So I think you should go for the 10-year and then
God damn.
You gonna take me all around and you gonna be my translator. I'll be excited. I would be so
People
annoying.
I'll think you be my husband.
Yeah, you know that they definitely will. Like everybody's gonna think that we're like married or something.
I'm just gonna like take you to my relatives and just tell them you're my fiance. Because otherwise they're gonna be like, Rose, why aren't you married? You're like 30 something.
Isn't there? Didn't you say there's a word in Korean for women?
No No means like I think old or something. And then like Chanya is like a lady that's like not married.
Yeah. I know.
So it's basically old maid.
Yeah, the thing that's crazy though is like it's so interesting that like for example like a lot of, and not just Korea, I'm sure there's a lot of countries that have this kind of like these sayings, even in English, like old maid and all of this kind of stuff, right? Like spinster. The thing that's really interesting is like back in the day, you know, maybe our grandparents' generation and maybe kind of our parents' generation, it was a lot different, right? It was a way different time. Whereas now it's like all the different factors, not just societal, but economic factors as well, is like driving people to, you know, extend.
Not get married.
Exactly. Or not get married as quickly, not have families. Like now it's more typical to have kids in your late 20s, early 30s, even into your 30s and stuff, right? Whereas in the past, that wasn't a thing. So it's like, it's interesting that they still have this, well, and not just in Korea, but like a lot of places, even in Canada, they have this
these
like
terms, you mean?
Yeah, these terms.
Well, I don't know if they use the term still. Like I don't know if they use the term 노처녀. I just remember that term being used when I was younger. Yeah. And they were like, "Oh my God, you better not turn 30 and not, you know, have a husband." And I'm like, "Well, bitch, I'm 32."
I wonder.
But now in Korea, it's like normal.
Yeah.
So many people are not getting married. They're not having babies. Like it's a crisis. We're having the Japan crisis right now in Korea.
Damn, it'd be the Korean crisis.
Korean people are going to go extinct, Daniel.
Oh God damn, that will never happen, Rose. Let's hope that does never happen.
I got to carry on the Korean gene apparently.
It's all down to you, Rose.
Oh God damn.
I do wonder, like in South Korea, what the vegan scene would be like now, because I'm sure there's like vegan options now and stuff.
I heard in Seoul it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of stuff in Seoul, but I think once you leave Seoul, it's going to be tough. Yeah. But what I really want to do is go to temples because temple food is basically vegan.
Ooh.
And it looks so good. Like, and it's like traditional kind of Korean style. And it's like very like, you know, they put a lot of thought into it. And I heard it's like really good. So like temple food is supposed to be like amazing. I definitely want to eat
so
like all the
good.
temple food. We can become Buddhist monks for a week.
Damn. And do some kind of retreat and eat all the food in the temple.
I think you can actually stay at a temple for like, a few days or something and just like, I don't know, pray. I don't know. What do you do?
It might be a
meditate.
That might be a very liberating experience though, is like going there.
I'm
and
down.
If you do, even just for
as
like,
long as they don't mind having, a green-haired Korean chick sitting in their temple.
I'm sure that they've seen worse, Rose.
Oh my God, what if they're like, you're going to have to shave your head?
Well, then we wouldn't go, obviously.
I'm just joking.
They wouldn't do that. They would say, like, for example, like that top that you're wearing, you'd need to cover up for sure.
Excuse me, Daniel. Are you slut shaming me?
Yes, I am. Because
that's rude.
I remember when I was in Thailand, and sometimes these things you just don't think of, right? Like you're just like traveling and you're in your own head. And I remember I went to go to this like temple with a couple friends, and I was wearing like pretty short, like not short shorts, but like, like just kind of like quite short shorts. And
bit slutty, hey?
Mm-hmm. And this like kind of like one of those string vest tops, that like that.
A string? Really? Like this one?
Yeah, basically.
Really? You little slut.
Oh, goddamn. Now who's slut shaming? And I remember that they gave us like robes that we had to wear.
Right. But you're going to a temple, right? Or something?
Yeah. Exactly. So
that
would be really, really cool. So maybe September 2021. That's going to be like crazy. That's like 2 big trips for me that year, but I'm so down.
Oh, goddamn. Can you even get the time off, Daniel?
I have the holiday days, so that's a thing.
Oh, shit. Guys, we might have to make it happen. We might record the SaVeg podcast in Korea at a Buddhist temple.
Oh, goddamn. It's going to be so weird. Like, how would we even record? Well, I guess we would figure it out. I
don't know what we would do. We could do a travel show, Daniel.
Oh, goddamn. And film us eating all of the Korean
It'd be amazing.
Oh,
I'm so down.
Yeah.
I am concerned for when I go to other places that are not a temple or Seoul.
Yeah. But I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Like, I'm sure you could, like, even when I was in, I'm not comparing, obviously, but like, for example, in Europe, a lot of countries are like heavily meat orientated in their diets. And I found like in Spain, like Madrid and Barcelona have so many vegan options, but I was surprised that.
Yeah, you can't really compare to Europe though. I feel like Koreans are very, it's like different, I think. I feel like Europeans and like maybe like not like Western culture is a little bit more like individual. So like, people can have different diets and like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But like something like with Korean culture is very like, what's the word? Group minded. No, there's a word for it. Like not opposite of individualism, collectivism. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's like the culture. So if you have a different diet, it's like not really seen as, they're just like, why are you eating like this? Like they don't understand that you have a different diet. So it's a bit different.
But
it's not, yeah.
I would argue, and obviously I'm not going to I know Seoul is very different because it's like a very international city. You have lots of expats living there, that kind of stuff.
Seoul's different, yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you have stuff popping up in Seoul, potentially you could have some overflow into some other, maybe not the really small towns.
It's not going to be non-existent, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it will be interesting. It's going to be a unique experience. That's for
like
sure.
The place that, like the thing is, like the place that I grew up, which is Pohang. Because my parents were there obviously last winter, and then I think they tried to go to some like vegan place, and there was like maybe I don't even know if they had one restaurant that had like vegan stuff. But again, you could make alterations, but they'll probably look at you kind of weird.
Yeah,
like they'll make you feel weird. They'll be like, excuse me, like, why don't you just have it? Like, they just won't understand. But again, maybe I haven't been there for a while, so maybe it's changed, right?
And they also maybe might treat you a little bit differently because you're like from Canada coming there.
Oh, hell no. Are you joking?
Oh, god damn.
They'll probably be like, what's this like foreigner that's not a foreigner that has green hair? Like, why are you being so difficult?
Oh, that's too funny. That's too funny.
I think it'd be comedic. Oh my God, we have to do this. This will be a business trip. Okay. Wait. So how long can you let's plan this right now while we're on air.
So it's so you have me on video. So you have video proof of this.
How long can you take off, Daniel? 2 weeks?
Yeah, I could do 2 weeks.
Okay. So here's the plan. I go for 2 weeks with you, and then I spend like maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks with like family, and I'll visit my family and stuff. There you go. Perfect. So we'll do 2-week trip. We'll visit the Buddhist temples.
Yeah.
And there's so many places in Korea like that I haven't even been to that I like would love to travel to as well. Like smaller towns, and like it would be easier for you to travel with me because like at least I do speak the language. So I could communicate. And I feel like a lot of people just go to Seoul and stuff, which Seoul is awesome. You could probably spend 2 weeks in Seoul. But there's so many like rural areas, like just very more traditional like areas you could go to. And it's like, there's like some really cool places.
Ooh, you're getting me so excited. And I wonder if we could get, probably you could get like train passes and stuff too. Because do they have a high speed train that goes most places? Yeah,
their train is like so fast. You can go from, and plus Korea is like so small. So it's very easy to travel within.
So in 2 weeks, we could cover a lot of ground.
Oh, we could like do the whole goddamn country. Maybe not.
That would be a whirlwind tour. It's like one day here, one day here, one day here.
No, we wouldn't do that. But we could see a lot, I think. Oh my God.
You go. Planned September
That's so
next
exciting.
year.
Back to my hometown. Back to my motherland. You can see my hometown. Maybe I'll show you where I grew up, my apartment complex.
That'd be cool. So cool. Yes.
My elementary school.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'd love that. Okay, it's happening.
Oh my God.
It's happening.
Amazing.
Done.
Remember when I visited your birthland? What do you call it? Birth city?
Birthplace?
Birthplace.
Yeah, my birthplace.
Would you like to tell our listeners where your birthplace was, Daniel?
So I was born in a small town in the UK called York.
Is it a small town? Is it considered a small town?
I think it's it's like a town.
Is
I would say a town.
City?
Is it a city? Maybe it's a city.
Daniel.
I should know this.
Why do I feel like? Well, I feel like it's a city because, like New York is named after York. So like, wouldn't it be? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
No, New York. You're right. New York is named after York, but it's like York is like old York. Oh, you're right. It is considered a city.
See, Daniel, it's a city.
It's a very small city. So I grew up. I was born in a very small city called York.
How many people live in York?
Less. It's like 100. Right now, it's like maybe 180,000. I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's small.
But it's very cute.
Yeah, it's a very cool place in a sense that like it's kept a lot of the like historic downtown center. So there's like a wall that goes around the downtown center that you can walk around most of it. There's like a huge cathedral, like or a minster, York Minster, like right in the middle. And they have like these like super old streets called the Shambles, which is so pretty.
Oh, I love that little part. It looks like Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's like all cobblestone streets with like the buildings that overhang the streets and stuff. So it's
Daniel, I miss the UK.
It'd be pretty as hell.
I missed that spot, and it flooded when we went. Do you remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course. How could I forget? Because the thing is, York floods just about every year. And they actually have like a famous pub that's like right on the river, and they like mark how high the river goes every year, like how high it like floods.
Why does it flood like every year? Since when? Since forever?
It used to flood. Like my parents said that when they were growing up there, it used to flood still.
Oh, so it's like normal.
Yeah, and I think it's because the river that flows through there, it's like a very slow moving river, I think. And also I think York is kind of in like a floodplain. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a very high place. You know what I mean? So the water can often
how do people I guess they don't build houses where it floods.
And it rains a lot, right? So
but like I remember when we were there, I swear there was like shops that were in water. Like
yeah. This pub that I was talking about, half of the pub goes underwater like almost every year.
How do they deal with the damage though? Like
I don't know. Well, the thing is, I feel like, and I don't know if I'm like kind of off base here, but didn't you find like in the UK that like there was a lot of buildings that were like questionable that probably like weren't up to like technically code. Like in Canada, you have certain codes where it's like they have to meet certain standards. I feel like even in London, there was like some old pubs.
Oh, London,
and stuff.
Dude.
Yeah.
London, like the apartments, half the apartments I saw, I'm like, there's something illegal about this building.
Exactly. And you're kind of like, I remember there were some like even pubs and stuff, and like you'd go into these like windy staircases that were like falling apart, and you're just like, this is a health and safety hazard. You know what I mean? But,
right. Yeah.
So I feel like with the flood damage and stuff, they're used to it, and they probably have like a process or something in place.
God.
But yeah, it floods just about every year, to be honest. But it is a beautiful part of the UK, and I would suggest going to check it out if you're ever there.
Yeah, it's really cute, you guys. I really liked it.
So me and Rose went, and it was funny because the time that we went to York, in a previous episode of our podcast, no, I don't know if it was the last one, but a couple episodes back, we talked about this crazy Scottish trip that we had. That was part of York, because remember we stopped in York.
Oh, was that the same year?
Yeah, I think so. I think
oh
so.
my God.
I remember stopping in York, and then we stayed with my family for a little bit, and then I think because it was we spent Christmas there. Maybe
we did. We spent Christmas. Yeah, I think.
And then not Boxing Day, but the following day, then we went up to Scotland.
Oh.
Because I remember because we were trying to get to London for Christmas Eve, or New Year's Eve, and do you remember that because of the flooding and stuff as well, our train got redirected. And we ended up having to we ended up back in London super, super late. And I don't even remember if we ended up not doing anything.
I think we went out. We went to Shoreditch or something.
Oh, that's
went
right.
To some,
oh my God.
lame
yes.
bar.
Yes, I remember the Grind or something. Did we go there?
You have good memory. I forgot about all this.
God damn, Rose, am I not memorable to you? And your experiences with me?
We've had a lot of experiences together, Daniel, over the years.
It's interesting though, and this was actually, I was talking to my mom about this the other day. This is the kind of cool thing about our memory and our mind is there's so much stuff in there, and sometimes you'll forget about something. And me and you might have gone on a trip together, and there'll be specific things for whatever reason about that trip that you remember that I might not, and vice versa.
Right.
But it's not that you've forgotten it, because years down the road, I could be talking to you about that trip and be like, oh, Rose, do you remember doing X, Y, Z? And you'd be like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that, but I remember it now.
Yeah.
So
our memory is weird.
It's so weird. And I always wonder, why is it that there's certain things that we keep and hold in our memories and that we always have there? Do you know what I mean? Because what is it about a specific night out or a specific vacation experience that you remember so well, but there's others that you don't?
Maybe something happened that was significant.
True.
I don't know. But I feel I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. Memory is weird.
It's so strange.
Because sometimes someone will tell me a story about something that happened years ago or something that we did. And I'm like, I don't remember doing that, but I guess we did that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's weird. It's weird.
It's kind of sad at the same time too, because it's you'll be for a really nice walk with somebody having a chat, and it's you're probably not going to remember that in a few years.
It's true. That's why you got to live in the moment. You got to not, dwell on the past, not worry about the future, just live in the moment.
Okay. Well, you should be worried somewhat about the future, but
a little bit, but not be too, there's worrying doesn't really do anything, right? I'm talking from a very philosophical point of view.
Okay.
Worrying about the future is not going to get you anywhere or do anything. Of course, you can plan for the future. Okay, you can plan for what's going to happen next, tomorrow or the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think we worry a lot about oh my God, where am I going to be in 10 years? And then that consumes our mind. And what we do as humans, because we have such a, I guess, complicated brain, and because we have such memories, and because we have the ability to imagine a future, which a lot of animals actually don't have that ability. Because of that, it actually kind of doesn't work in our favor.
It's to our detriment.
So exactly. It's to our detriment, because that's why we get miserable, because we dwell on the past, we worry about the future, and we think, oh my God, my life sucks. And in 10 years, it's going to be just as shitty. Whereas other animals are just chilling. They're every day I'm just trying to survive.
Exactly. Well, this is it. They have a lot more of a, I don't want to say simple. Well, it is a simplistic, they're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Literally where's my food? I'm going to sleep. I'm going to do this. And that's it. They're not worried about the next day. They're worried about right then and there and what they need at that moment. Whereas
so we need to learn to do that,
Will that make us happier, Roses?
It will. It will. Should we talk more? Oh, were we going to talk about happiness today?
Oh, that is what we were going to talk about. But we have so many. We have more questions.
Okay, we have more questions. Okay, let's get through some more questions, guys. I told you this is going to be a long episode. I still be on my first bottle. I'm already feeling it. And Daniel is getting his Asian glow.
Always. Literally every single time I drink.
So cute, Daniel.
So every time.
Have we told you guys that? Yeah, I don't get red and Daniel gets red, and I'm the Asian. And a lot of people think Daniel looks half Asian. Guys, leave us a comment down below. Do you think Daniel looks half Asian?
It's so funny, but I get that so much, and I'm like, okay.
What do you like the most about the podcast nowadays?
I kind of one thing that I like about it is it kind of forces us to have a sort of catch up every week. Cause you know, like you get busier. We both like have jobs and everything else.
Absolutely.
And I think it's nice because it means that we get to spend a little bit of time, even though now it's virtual, but it means that every single week we're at least have something planned with each other, you know? So that's one thing I really like about it.
Oh, that's a good answer, Daniels.
What about you,
yes,
Roses?
I definitely really enjoy that, especially I think once the thing is like you and I are like codependent. So like once you move back and we were like we were able to meet up still, I think like we probably would have met up regardless, but especially during this time and even when you were in Spain, like when you were living in like London and Spain and stuff, like I don't think we would have chatted so often because we barely we barely Skyped and stuff. Like we're not really like Skyping type of people very often.
We would, the thing is we'd always text a lot. Like I felt like when I was in London, like we would text quite a bit still, or like, you know, but you're right. Like we would never. And also I'm like, the thing is, and this is going to sound bad. Like the reason why I like texting is it's like quick and easy. Whereas like I feel like
Daniel's
with
not
Skype,
a good texter.
With Skype, you have to like plan it out. You know what I mean? You have to be ready. You have to like stop things and do, you know what I mean? So yeah.
It's weird that like, I don't know. Do you talk on the phone with people much?
There's a couple of my friends that I do, but not many.
Okay, yeah, because I'm not a phone talker. Like I don't know what it is. Like I like meeting up with people in person and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like not much of a phone talker. So anyway, yeah, so that like definitely forced us to like meet up, which was really nice. We caught up like every week. That was always fun. And I do like talking about, you know, I like the kind of what we've been doing, like talking about current events, keeps us like, you know, in the loop because sometimes I just kind of like get distracted with my own thing. Yeah. And then I don't know what's going on in the world.
I agree. I also really like that, like because we switched gears of the podcast, because before we were just kind of like talking about anything and everything, and then now we like the last kind of 6 to 8 months we've really been focusing on like kind of current events, what's going on, you know, like big stories that are happening. And I found that, you know, although it has been heavily dominated by obviously COVID and, you know, US politics, but it has been really, really interesting. And because I don't know, the more you know, right? And it's good to know what's going on in the world, albeit sometimes it's not. Yeah, and it kind of opens your mind. And I also really like having discussions with you about this stuff because we also have different opinions on things. And it's good to just talk through it. And, you know, maybe I might not agree with you, but at the same time, I'll be like, oh, actually, no, you know what? Those are some really good points. And it has made me think of it differently. So that's another part I really like of the podcast. That's such a good question.
Yeah. And I feel like I like podcasts in a way because I feel like it's very different from the media that we consume nowadays, especially when it comes to like social media. Because what I find is that nowadays, like we have such a short attention span and we always, like think about TikTok, for example, like these are like 30-second, 1-minute videos and people are just scrolling. It's very short attention span kind of material. Whereas podcasts, it's like just long form discussions, which I don't think there is enough of. So I really like that as well.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree with that. That's actually a really good point. Because you're right.
Like, sorry, go.
No, I was just going to say, with other social media and stuff, it's so fast and, you know, you don't get to have these kind of like longer discussions, which is, you know, it's a shame.
It's nice. It's a shame because, you know, there's only so much you could say in, you know, a 60-second TikTok.
Exactly.
Anyway.
And I don't think you're going to take that much from it. You know, you're not going to learn that much from a 60-second TikTok. So
exactly. All right. Next question. What's your stance on microdosing psychedelics for depression/anxiety?
Oh, interesting.
Do you know much about this, Daniel?
So I've heard of this before. Yes. So I'll give you a breakdown of what I think that I know.
Oh, what you think that you think that you think that you know?
Yeah. So basically, microdosing has to do. I think it's primarily with like acid. And what you do is you don't take it to get like that euphoric high feeling. You take a very, very small microdose in a sense. And it's supposed to be like very, what's the word? It like heightens your senses, and it has been, they're doing actually trial tests and stuff with acid, and I think also maybe MDMA. I'm not 100% sure, but like again, these are really, really small doses. Nothing that's going to get you like all crazy at a party or anything like that. Like very small doses where they're seeing the impacts that they have, and I think actually some of the trials have shown that people that have depression and stuff have benefited from doing microdosing. Because it's like I guess it's like a stimulant to your brain. And I think in very controlled small doses, it's not that different from taking, prescription medicine, right? Because it's a similar thing. You're taking some kind of drug to get a certain effect, right? So yeah, that's microdosing. What are your initial thoughts on that, Rose?
Nice explanation, Daniel. Well, okay, for in terms of MDMA, I know a little about MDMA. I will not say why I know a little about MDMA, but I do know about MDMA. MDMA was actually initially used. I don't think it counts as a psychedelic though. I think MDMA is an upper. I don't know what that.
Yeah.
A stimulant? Is that
an upper, a downer, a sideways?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a psychedelic, but it was, I think, initially used as an antidepressant because it releases serotonin. So that's what it was initially used for. And then, of course, people started using it for partying. And then that's when it became, illegal. So I feel like with drugs, like, there's so much politics involved with whether or not a drug is legal or illegal. And a lot of it has nothing to do with whether or not it's more or less dangerous than a legal substance. So MDMA, for example, you could argue that it's actually not that dangerous compared to alcohol, for example. And it might be just as dangerous or less dangerous. The amount of people that die from alcohol is, it's a lot. So I think we tend to put some sort of moral value to something because it's legal or illegal. And there's no need to, because just because something is legal doesn't mean that it's more or less. Exactly. Yeah. So I have nothing against, if it helps somebody to take, small doses or large doses, if even, of whatever it is that they need to help them, like all power to you. Like, as long as you're doing it safely, I honestly think that's great if it helps you. Especially with something like anxiety or depression.
Exactly. Well, that's the key. I think the key here is that you're doing it safely. A certain, you're, I guess, using this responsibly, this microdosing. I think that's the kind of key. And you're right. There is this like stigma with something that just because it's legal, there's not such a stigma about it. Like, think of like smoking even, for example. Like, people can go buy cigarettes at a shop. Doesn't mean that it's good for you. Yeah, but I think
smoking now has a lot more of a stigma than it
does, but it didn't used to. It used to be the cool
about
thing
20
to
years
do.
ago, it was cool. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas like certain, illegal drugs and substances have never, people really, a lot of people frown upon them, where it's like, well, actually, cigarettes have nicotine, which is highly addictive. And, there's a lot of like serious repercussions from cigarette smoke, and yet it is still a legal substance. So, or it's interesting.
You should be allowed to use, if it's effective as an antidepressant or as anti-anxiety medication, you should be allowed to use it. Like, I don't see why not. I think people should be allowed to use it.
Yeah.
So,
and again, if it's giving people benefits that have like, especially people, the thing is like, especially stuff with like anxiety and depression, like these are things that can cripple people's lives. You know what I mean? So if they can have something that, improves their overall quality of life, isn't harming them or others around them, and they are using this stuff safely, like I just don't see what the issue is. So I would be all for it as well, to be honest.
Yeah, there you go. So do your drugs. No. I mean, yeah. Okay, so next I have, let's see. Woo. This is okay. Should vaccines be avoided by vegans because of their ingredients? So like fetal and animal cells, for example.
Oh.
No, I don't think they should be avoided by vegans. I think it's complicated. It's a very tough issue. But I think that if you have to, I think about things from, I guess, it's a tough one, okay? Because I don't want to condone animal testing, and I don't want to be, in favor of that kind of stuff. And I think that as much as if we can move away from animal testing as much as we possibly can, we should. Yeah. And I don't know enough about, testing on animals when it comes to something like vaccines or medical things.
Yeah.
So I would like to avoid it as much as possible. Yeah. But if we can, if we can eradicate disease, I don't know. Like, what do you think?
Also, I mean, if it's a matter of like also your own personal, like, let's say there's some like really highly contagious disease that kills people like really strongly,
like the COVID.
or something that has even higher death rate than that, and you have a high chance of dying if you get it. Well, I guess the question would be, what's the value of your life, taking this, I would personally, not that I'm saying that my life is necessarily more than another being's life, but like,
But isn't that what you're saying by taking the vaccine?
Yeah. Then I guess it would be. No, it's not that I'm saying my life is better, but ultimately it's like that's fight for survival, right? So like I would take it just because of like I would want to live. You know what I mean? So that's selfish, I know, but that's just how I would do it.
Yeah.
God damn.
I was waiting for you to continue.
Rose.
No, I
think, yeah, I mean, with a vaccine, I mean, obviously in the vaccine, isn't it always a matter of life or death or anything like that? But yeah, I think I would still take it. But again,
I think that we could fight for, better ways of, testing, and we can fight for ways of doing it in a cruelty-free way. I'm sure that there are lots of things that we could do to change the way that we test things in the scientific community. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, anything like that. And I've heard arguments of people saying there's no point of testing things on, like, for example, mice or rats because we have a very different DNA or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think there is an argument to be made in terms of being against it, because at the end of the day, it's like they're being forced to undertake these types of, potentially, lethal procedures just so that we could have some kind of vaccine.
Yeah.
So you could make an argument. And I'm not completely, I don't think I have a strong opinion on this because it's hard for me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
But yeah, like I would take a vaccine if it was important for, humanity and to eradicate disease or to help other people not get the disease. I mean, it's like with the COVID, like I'm probably definitely going to take the vaccine if I can. And I'm not anti-vax. But it's hard to say. I can see the argument on both sides.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to be in the position of an animal, right? So I'm trying to put myself in the position of that animal. So I can argue, oh yeah, like it's better. Like, of course I'm going to take it. But then if we actually think about what if that, like the animal has to suffer, as a consequence of us, like would I volunteer myself to be a subject of testing?
To suffer for another animal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. From a moral stance, it's hard to argue.
Yeah.
But from a practical stance and from a selfish human stance, I would say yes, like we can take it. It's one of those tough ones. Oh God. These
are some tough questions, Rose.
Oh God damn, what's with this? God damn.
We be on the spot.
This is our happy hour. We're talking about vaccines. Let's see what else we have.
By the way, guys, thanks for everyone that sent the questions in. We really we love having these conversations, and they wouldn't be possible without your lovely questions. So thank you.
What was the first thought that went through your heads when you started the podcast?
I don't think we were thinking, were we?
This is the thing. I don't overthink things. I don't think you overthink things.
Well, I do
Actually,
overthink.
you do overthink things.
I overthink things a lot, but like
that's true.
I think the thing is the reason why this kind of podcast came about is it was more from you because you already wanted to do a podcast or you were thinking of branching out into that, and then I was in Spain and had a lot of free time when I was in Spain, and we thought like we talked about it a little bit before, but like never really that serious, and then we were kind of like having a chat and like texting and stuff, and then we're like, let's just do this. Like, why don't we just start? Try to see how it goes basically, and go from there. And that's kind of how it started. And then that's why in the beginning we still had some really good episodes. I really enjoyed the episodes we did at the beginning, but they were a bit more all over the place than all of our episodes
were fun though, weren't they?
Yeah, they
are
fun.
Always all over the place.
Yeah. But now we have a little bit more. We're a little bit more focused on like kind of current events and news and things that are going on. But that's kind of how it started. I don't think there was anything like really in our minds that we were like, part of me that we were just like, oh, this is the reason why we want to start a podcast.
Yeah. It was more like, we were both like, I remember my mindset was like, we're obviously, you've been on my channel before, people know who you are and they enjoy you on my channel. I'm like, okay, like, and people can see that we have obviously like, chemistry
Yeah.
in terms of like how we talk. Like there's a flow in our conversation. We could literally talk for like hours and hours and hours and like never stop. So I'm like, well, this is perfect. It's perfect for a podcast.
Well, 55 hours later, you know, so 50, I think we're on like,
How many hours, Daniel?
I think this will be, well, counting this, it's like 60 hours.
Of nonstop talking.
Plus all the Patreon exclusives, which we do
Plus
one of
all
those.
the talking that we be doing aside from the podcast.
In between the podcast and days that we just hang out. So, goddamn. I mean, I wonder if there's like some kind of way we could calculate. It would be probably a shocking number of hours.
Oh my God. And then Angela one time was like, I don't know how you guys, she was like, how do you guys talk so much?
See, and like, I never realized how much I talk, but like.
You talk so much.
Yeah, but you do as well. And
I talk a lot. You know what Angela said?
That I talk more.
She's like, oh my God, Daniel actually talks a lot. Hi, Angela, if you're listening.
But didn't we have dinner one time at your parents as well? And I thought like this is like a while ago, and we were chatting with like I came over for dinner.
My
and, like,
parents.
Yeah, and
we were at my parents' house. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to your parents' house, and Rose's parents did this like awesome spread, and we were all like eating there, just like chatting. And I thought to myself, I was thinking, oh, because like I know when I like over talk, which does happen more sometimes.
Are you sure you know?
But I don't think I thought I had an idea, but I had no idea. And I thought, oh, you know, I was a bit, you know, not shy, but I wasn't like my full like talkative self when I was over at Rose's. And what did your parents say, Rose?
My dad was like, Daniel, he talks a lot. Bless your soul.
I know it's kind of like it can be good in some ways, but then also it can kind of be bad in others because like for example, if I go on dates and stuff, I hate like part of the reason why I talk so much is I don't like awkward silences. I feel like if there's a pause and like an awkward break, I feel uncomfortable. Even if there's nothing wrong with that and it's part of the natural flow of whatever's going on, I feel uncomfortable. So I try to fill that void. So like when I go on
damn, Daniel, you can't be talking too much on dates.
Oh, and
do you talk a lot? I really want to be a fly on the wall when you're on a date.
You don't. You definitely don't.
I really
Rose.
do, because and then I could be like, Daniel, let me write some notes for you. No, just kidding.
Yeah. But see, this is why I need to meet a guy that's like very chill and just very like, and I can be like the talkative one in the relationship. And
no,
can be a bit
but then
kind of like
that would be kind of boring. No.
Yeah, true. Because then I would just like,
actually, I don't know. You could just keep talking.
Mm-hmm. But maybe that would be good. Maybe that's what I need, like a bit of balance, you know?
You definitely need somebody that talks less than you do. Definitely.
Could you imagine if I met somebody that talked more, Rose? God damn.
Oh my God. I don't think I would want to be in the same room as you two. I think I would get a headache.
No. Well, one guy that I went on a date with, he talked probably more than I did and would always like cut me off and like keep talking.
Oh,
and
that's no.
I know. And I thought I talked a lot. And this one guy, he was like talking and talking. And I just remember being like, oh my God, what's going on?
You got to ask questions. You just got to keep making them talk. That's what I do. You know, I ask questions. I don't even realize I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. And I just keep asking a bunch of questions.
I want to be a fly on the wall at one of your dates, Rose, to see what happens.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I mean, I think you should just take notes.
Notes on modesty, right? How to be modest.
Exactly. Have I ever told you that humility is one of my greatest traits?
Oh, Rose.
Oh, Daniel, don't you miss me?
I do.
Oh my God. Honestly, though, no. Honestly, people love talking about themselves, so you have to keep asking them questions.
No, definitely. And I think that's a good thing too, because then you also learn a lot about them as well. And
exactly. That's how you fill the conversation. You don't talk more about yourself. You ask them a question.
Yeah, which I do. But like, okay, how would you do in this example? Like, this was
oh
years
God,
ago.
You're going to put me on the spot. Okay.
Okay,
well, there are some certain people that it can't be helped. But yes, continue.
Exactly. I remember I was like, went on a date with this one guy. I was like, oh, so like, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm this. Like, he was like a project manager or something. I'm a project manager. I said, oh, cool. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about that? You know, like, you know, and he was like, oh, well, I do this at buildings. And I was like,
Oh my God, who are these people?
okay, that's cool. And then I was like, oh, and then I remember he like had gone, he'd lived in New Zealand for like 2 years or something, or a year, to like work with this company. And I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Like, what did you do in New Zealand? Like, what kind of stuff? Like, tell me about, because I've never been. So I was like, tell me more about New Zealand. He was like, yeah, it was all right. Like, I was mostly working, so I didn't really have much. I didn't do much.
My God.
And I was like, you were in New Zealand for 2 years. I mean, you have weekends, you have time to do things. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, I've worked full-time jobs when I was in London and here in Calgary, and you still find time to do stuff. So, and I remember just the whole time just being like, oh my God, this conversation is.
And how many drinks did you have to have before you left?
I had quite a few. I had several. And then I was like, hey, I'm leaving. Like, this.
You were like, I need to drink to fill this void.
And the crazy thing is he wanted a second date, and I was just like,
oh my God. Here's the thing. It's like, sometimes you're like, how did you think this went well?
I know. I was like, what part of this went well? And he was like, the thing too is like,
was he cute at least?
He wasn't bad looking. Yeah. But the thing is, he like, not that like, I don't expect people to be so positive and happy all the time, but like if I'm on a date with somebody and they're like super negative, because he said another thing too, he'd been on some like work, a day off work where they do like a work bonding thing, and they went to like an escape room and did like a ton of cool stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, tell me more about it. He's like, well, I don't really like my coworkers. And I was like, oh, okay. It was just like everything. He was just so negative,
Negative.
Like, oh, you're in New Zealand. Oh, I didn't have time to see anything. And I was just like, ugh.
Oh my God, that's like your worst nightmare, especially
it is the worst
you.
Nightmare. Yeah,
because Daniel's just like a little positive ball of joy.
Sometimes, but like I think you already have so many like shitty things that you have to deal with in life. So like you need somebody that's gonna try to like at least like
make it a little better. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, the whole point is that like when you're I just don't, even if you were a miserable person, like at least kind of learn to hide it on a date, or maybe he was just being himself. I don't know.
Exactly. Because like, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with, everybody has their days. I have my down days. Everybody does, but like all the time, and like
you can tell when someone's just a miserable person.
Exactly. And the fact that you, especially on a first date, if you're bringing that on the first date, that tells me that he's probably even more miserable, but was trying to hide it. That was him hiding it, and I'm like,
oh my God.
So
Oh, and he was probably like, oh, this guy is so positive and optimistic. He's going to make me feel so happy. And then you're like, I don't want to see you ever again.
I know. But, kind of that's a perfect segue into the next piece of what we're going to talk about. But you can't rely on someone else for your happiness.
Oh, God damn. Oh, we going to keep talking about the happiness. God damn. I thought we can talk about it.
Or should we present the happiness? It's getting quiet. We've already been on this for an hour and a half. God damn. So we'll just keep chatting, and then we'll talk about the happiness another time.
We can talk about happiness. Well, what do you think, Daniel? What do you think? What's your we kind of covered this in the last episode, if you guys listened. Mm-hmm. But
we talked about this.
It's hard to say with what you just said about you can't rely on somebody else to make you happy.
Yeah.
Agreed, but also
disagree.
No, I do agree to an extent.
Yeah.
Because we are obviously, because I always talk about we're obviously very social creatures, and we do need interactions with others. So that's part of what makes us happier. Mm-hmm. Because if we were alone, we can't be happy. Like I don't believe that you can be happy completely alone.
We can't.
We can't survive.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, even people that like are less social and stuff like that, at the end of the day, like we are social beings. We're not like some animals that are very solitary by nature. We are very, very social.
Exactly.
Even if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I don't like being around. There's some part of you that does need to be around people. So I agree with you to that point. What I meant more by about relying on other people for your happiness, or like relying on a partner for your happiness to bring you that happiness is. Of course, that person is going to bring an element of happiness to your life, right? Like for many reasons. But what I mean is that they can't be
the only source.
Exactly. And you can't be, you talked I really liked what we talked about the other day when you mentioned the happiness, like equilibrium that you're at, kind of like you're at this kind of status quo per se, right? And
the hedonistic treadmill.
Exactly. And you can't expect that just because you get into a relationship that all of a sudden you're going to go from a base level of like here up to a base level of like here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you can't rely on somebody to make that happen for you. Yes, they might make you happy in some ways, but they're not going to be the kind of,
they're not going to fill some empty void.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why like I think it's really important that Well, I don't know. Cause like I can say this easily because obviously I've been single for so long now, but like, I think it's really important to kind of find some level of happiness within yourself before you get into a relationship. Cause I feel like a lot of people, they get into relationships and they don't give that time to themselves and they can get lost. You know what I mean? So
agreed.
And then, yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, relationships are such a complicated thing, but yeah, your happiness is very much you determine it. Do you know what I mean? In many ways,
Yes.
I feel like, and like, no matter what, even if you've been married to someone for, 30 years, you still have to bring a certain level of something that you do for yourself to make yourself happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree completely. Because at the end of the day, so there's a few things. There's a few elements that I think we can discuss. So I feel like relying on one other person for for your entire source of happiness is like something a lot of people actually end up doing. So you're right. Like a lot of people think like, oh, once I get in a relationship,
I'm going to be happy.
I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
That's just not true, right?
Yeah.
Like happiness is a very complicated kind of topic. And I think that, there's a lot of different elements to, having a more fulfilling life. And if you just think that you're going to get into some kind of relationship and all of a sudden you're just going to be a different kind of person and just
have that euphoric happiness 24/7.
It's just not going to happen like ever. Okay. So, but I think overall, just like I think one of the things is like having just kind of like a well-balanced approach to your relationships. So having, first of all, understanding that you can't rely on one person or even like a few people to bring you some sort of, like happiness or whatever it was. But having kind of like, I guess, overall trying to have good relationships, getting rid of certain toxic relationships, which again is hard to do, but, having your family and your friends, like a support network, that isn't just reliant on one person. So that's one thing, because a lot of us, we think like, oh, once we use terms like, my other half, as in, this person is going to just complete me. Exactly. And that's just not true.
Exactly. And that's also kind of looking at it like in some ways, okay, I'm obviously like, I like the Hallmark movies and, I'm a little bit cheesy and I'm like, oh, it's kind of cute. But at the same time, if you're saying it's your other half, you're implying that until you meet that person, you're only half a person. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
and that's just not true.
Exactly. Like, so yeah, I think.
And it also sends a message that until you meet a romantic partner, you are not complete. And that's just not true. You can have romantic partners. There are people that don't have romantic partners that, find happiness in different ways, find relationships in different ways, find, they have family, they have friends, they have very fulfilling lives. There are certain people that may not have romantic partners that have more fulfilling lives than lots of people that have romantic partners. Yeah. So it's this idea that like you have to have a romantic partner. I think that itself, that needs to be thrown out, that concept of you can only be happy once you like find a romantic partner, once you find a husband, a wife. It's just not true.
I know, it's so ironic though that is the narrative, because, and don't get me wrong, like I do want to eventually find a romantic partner and whatever else, but like I just find it interesting that the narrative is that when all of us, and I'm speaking not just for me and you, but also for all the listeners of the podcast and stuff, we have all had friends or family members in very toxic relationships that aren't happy. So to say that the only way that you're going to be happy or the only way that you're going to feel fulfilled in life is to meet that other half and have that romantic partner is just not true. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you meet somebody you really click and everything else, that can be great and, all good to you. But that's not the only way to achieve happiness. And we've seen it time and time again where there's people that are in these horrible relationships that are definitely not happy. And we can't like set that as a bar. And it's interesting that even now in the 21st century, even though we've all seen, and all of us from like day one, not only and it's in media as well, it's everywhere. We've seen so many like people in these horrible toxic relationships. And yet that's still the narrative that we're saying that is the way that you complete yourself. That is the way that we become happy.
Do you think it's Hollywood? Do you think it's like movies?
But the thing is partly, but then also Hollywood does sometimes showcase, abusive relationships and people getting out of, so that's all, we see both sides of it. So that's why I think it's interesting that we as a society in general still have that narrative. Like, don't get me wrong, there's lots of people in happy relationships as well, but it's interesting that we're saying that's like the only way to become happy. Do you know what I mean? That's
I think we've built a society. What's happened is that we've built a society where we have like that family unit. So we have like the mom and the dad and the kids. Okay. So that's what we've built as some sort of, keeping up with the Joneses. Like this is the ultimate, all American family or whatever. Right. So we've built this idea that like you have to have this specific type of, group.
Yeah.
And that's, the bare minimum that you need in order to be happy.
And be successful.
Exactly. Which is just untrue. But because of that kind of, I guess, family structure that we have, I guess, built over the last few decades or even centuries, I don't know. Because of that, I think it's hard to have communities outside of that. So that's one thing that I've noticed is the reason why it's hard for single people after a certain age. So like, let's say you're like 40 or 50 and you're single. The reason it's hard is because it's not because you're a sad person and that, you know what I mean? Like, it's not because you don't have the ability to have good relationships. It's because we've built this society where we rely on just like our family.
Yeah.
Our like the nuclear family, like whatever it's called. And so everyone, is in like a nuclear family. And then the people that are outside of that feel like outsiders and they feel like they don't have a community to connect with. Because everyone else is in a nuclear family. So it's
that
like,
makes sense. Because like even now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'll still have a lot of friends that, well, not a lot, but there's a few of us now that are older that, aren't in relationships at the moment or don't even have kids. And like, don't get me wrong. I still have actually like really precious friendships with my friends that are married and have kids and everything else. But you're right. Like the more and more that happens and the more my friends get married and settle down and do all that stuff. And I am left out. Like, even if they include me in all of these things, I do start to feel like, oh, like, and you're right. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not happy. It doesn't mean that I'm, all of these things, but I do start to feel that sense of, okay, well, I'm like not included in this kind of group. And the interesting thing too is like, and it's perpetuated by family as well, because if you think about it, like whenever you have these family gatherings, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that's experienced this, but like, if you're a married couple, they'll come up to you and say, oh, how are things going? How's the marriage? Blah, 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 blah. And like for people that are single, they'll be like, oh, so are you seeing anyone? What's your dating life like?
Yeah.
All of this stuff. It's never like, oh, are you happy? Like, how are things going? You know what I mean? Like, it's always, oh, like, you're not here with anyone. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like it's.
Well, and even with with couples, like no one would be like, oh, like, how's your relationship? Like people don't ask that question. They're more like, oh, how are you guys? Like, oh, good for you. You had a baby. Yeah. Whereas like with like a single person, it's like, oh, are you seeing anybody? Like, is there anyone? I mean, I do that too. Don't get me wrong. I ask those questions.
Guilty.
Guilty as charged. But yeah, it's, I don't know. It's interesting. But I told you about that movie that I watched where in like this, I think this is a brilliant idea, by the way.
Lobster, right? The lobster one?
Not the lobster. No, it's the documentary about happiness that, I feel like you've seen this. It's the one, okay, so it's a documentary and I think it's called Happy or Happiness. And it was on Netflix at some point, okay? But what is that? What is...
Oh, I was just scratching my pen because I wanted to write this down actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, because your phone is recording.
Yep.
Anyway. Woo,
otherwise I'd write it in my phone.
Daniel's a little grandpa and I got the hiccups. I got the drunk hiccups. I heard that.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so... this movie, I think it's called Happiness or Happy or something. And it's like a documentary. And it was like, it kind of like talked to a few different types of people. So for example, one of them was like she used to be a beauty pageant person. Like, I don't know. She used to be in beauty pageants. Yeah. So she was like obviously very gorgeous. And then one day she got like run over by a car and then like her face got wrecked. And then she kind of, like, obviously she was like probably miserable for a bit. And then later on, she's getting the interview and God, I can't even talk. She's doing the interview for this movie and she's saying like, oh, I'm actually like really happy now. Like, believe it or not, even though I used to be like really gorgeous. And like, obviously because her face got kind of ruined in the, accident. Yeah. So that was one story. Another story was this woman, it was mainly about the whole community. But basically in Sweden or Denmark, one of those Scandinavian countries, they built this like community. It was kind of like, how like there's like old folks communities? It was like that, but not an old folks community. It was like for anybody. So you could have your own like little home right? So you could have your own space. You could be single, in a family, old, whatever.
Yeah.
You could have your own home. But then what they would do is that they would have a community space where they would all gather for dinner, like every night, I think. And then each household or something like that would be responsible for like cooking dinner each, day, something like that. So they would all take turns like cooking dinner together, eating together. And that created like that sense of community, which for a lot of people, especially people that are maybe single, that choose to be single, they still had that kind of, community other than, you know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people, the reason why they feel alone isn't necessarily because they don't have a partner. It's because they don't have a community.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Like it's that feeling of like, especially if I'm, once I move out from my parents' house, have my own apartment, and if all of my friends are married with kids, they're going to be busy, and I'm going to feel isolated a bit, and that's why I'm going to feel like, where's my sense of community in some ways, So
it's not necessarily because you're single; it's because of the fact that we've built this society where it's like, unless you're with somebody else, you're going to be all alone. That's why people feel really lonely in like cities.
That makes sense. That's actually a really, really good point, Rose. Okay.
So I think we should start a communal neighborhood.
Well, didn't you mention something about like in Korea, like the communities get together and they'll have like kimchi Fridays or something, where the whole community comes together and makes kimchi?
Yeah. So my mom and my dad, my mom told me about stories of back in when she was young. Are you almost done that bottle of wine, Daniel?
No, not close. Why are you done yours?
No, I'd be halfway through. I'm already drunk. God damn. I don't know what's happening.
I have like a quarter left.
Daniel's almost done. Anyway,
but I have a lot in my glass too.
You are just down in that one. So when my parents were growing up, it was very different. Like Korea was really different from what it is now. I think a lot of people in Korea are really, really lonely now. And it's really sad to see. And that's one of the kind of big problems in Korea right now. A lot of people feeling lonely, a lot of people feeling completely isolated because I think that sense of community has died out. So a lot of people used to grow up, like when my parents were young, a lot of people were, in rural communities. And in those communities, apparently everyone just knew each other. You go into the neighborhood and everyone knows everybody. You know the neighbors' names, all your kids play together. It's all just like a part of the community. And then there would be days when there was like a certain season where you like make kimchi. So Korean people make kimchi in like very large quantities because you store it for like, I don't know, months. And then you eat it because there's certain ways of storing it where you can store it for months and eat it throughout the, months. So I guess they had like a day where they make kimchi. So everyone in the neighborhood makes kimchi.
And it was probably like a big like thing, everyone got super excited.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone makes kimchi or if the house that made kimchi would just share it with I don't know. I think everyone made kimchi on the same day.
It was like a sense of community, like
exactly.
It's a sense of like, and again, it's like that sense of feeling belonging somewhere. And ultimately getting happiness from that. Because as we said, we are social beings and we need to feel that sense of belonging and kind of connectedness with others,
Like they could go to the neighbor and be like, can I have some like, a little bit more rice? Like I ran out of rice or ran out of this. Like, can I have some? Like we can't really do that now. I mean, we could, but that's weird.
Yeah, your neighbor would be like, and I think in Korea, I mean, for Koreans, running out of rice would be a pretty big deal. So they'd have to go to their, you know what I mean? They'd have to be like, I need to get that rice,
Yeah, so that's it's sad to think about.
Well, I think the thing is I think that I just like wish, and I think that we'll, the whole not concept of society, but like I do feel like there's going to be some sort of movement or shift or paradigm shift because as we're seeing more and more is like the trends of the nuclear family, all of these kind of like we're starting to see a lot of alterations to that and like different couples that don't have kids, for example, like so many different variations of what the nuclear family represents. And I just think, or I hope like in the future that we as society, because I'm not saying that just because somebody is a couple or whatever, it's like it's they're not happy. That's not what I'm meaning, but I'm just meaning like we need to focus on that concept of like, instead of focusing on whether or not people are in relationships, like romantic relationships, is focus on their fundamental, like how they are as a person, like not how they are, but like, are they happy? Are they content? Are they enjoying their life?
That should be the overall focus.
Exactly. Less so. If you're in a relationship and you're all of those things, fantastic.
Fantastic.
But also, if you're not in a relationship and you're all of those things, also fantastic. That's the kind of where we need to get to, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, goddamn.
I agree completely. Maybe we should start a community.
We need to, Rose.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I think it's really great. And even with, you know, places like, I think we need to like talk about this more. I think that's one thing to, you know, build the awareness. I think people have, you know, because we've like, even like, as I say this, like, I know I'm not going to walk up to my neighbor and like, you know, start having conversation because of the culture that we have now. It's like everyone lives in their own, you know, little block and then that's it. So whoever lives in your block, that's your family or your, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And then whoever's outside of that, you don't really talk to them really. Yeah. Maybe you say hi a little bit, but like not really. And I think that's sad. I don't know.
Sad. But I do feel like, well, and I don't know if it's like a new thing, but you know, like a lot of the new like rental units and stuff downtown, like even the one that I went to go look at and stuff, they're starting to have, they have these like amenities areas or kind of like community areas. So they're trying to like start like promoting that. But still, if you would go to those like.
But no one talks to anybody.
Yeah, that's true. It's
like,
so sad.
I have amenities in my building and no one really talks to people.
Yeah. Unless they're me, and apparently I talk to, you know, I like to talk to everyone.
You talk
Rose.
to everybody. So you'd be a perfect person for, you should definitely, this is a great business opportunity. And it could provide happiness for people.
I'll be bringing them joy and happiness. That'd be a nice job.
And money for yourself.
Which is an important part of our life because of the way that we have structured society, you know?
Yeah.
So we've structured it to be capitalistic and
Oh God. But yeah, I'm concerned for my home country, Korea.
Oh, God.
It's pretty bad. It's people are not having babies. People are miserable. People are, you know what? Let me just Google this because I really want to know, like, I'm pretty sure that we surpassed Japan in terms of
birth rates or death.
Birth rate. Yeah, birth rate.
So you would have not surpassed. You would have gotten below Japan.
We have surpassed the desperation of Japan. Birth rate,
which is really, really sad because again, you're looking at these countries whereby there's been like huge technological advances, you know, massive industry growth, and yet, you know, you have this kind of negative undertone of what's going on in the actual society and the communities that live within it. So it will be an interesting like case study to see what happens as well, you know. And I really hope.
Yeah. Sorry.
I hope that things. I mean, that things eventually change, like, you know, that something reaches a breaking point and, you know, something has to change because, you know, it can't just go on forever. Like
I mean,
that.
it could maybe.
Yeah, true.
Well, the problem is, I think that there's been such a big focus on economics and we measure things by economics very often. So we look at countries where, you know, it's obviously a wealthy country and we think, oh, they're successful and therefore everything's great. But actually, there's a lot of downsides to becoming economically successful. And I think we're seeing that in these tiger economies that basically tiger economies are countries like Korea, Japan, maybe Taiwan, Hong Kong, like these countries where these countries grew very quickly over the last few decades. So Korea, in my parents' generation, when they were young, was a developing country. It was very poor. It was not at all an economic powerhouse as it is today. Yet we are seeing new problems arising so this is a great case study actually, because, you know, it's something that we, you know, maybe people couldn't have known, you know, like this would happen. We just think, oh, we're growing, we're, you know, becoming successful. That's a great thing. Exactly. But then negative things are coming from it. So so we did, this article says, let's see. Whew. I think this article is going to say exactly what we just said. Okay, let's see here. Today, South Korea, let's see. Let me read you this. When countries undergo economic change, the effects of the transition aren't only financial. They have major population implications as well. This is very much the case in South Korea, where over the last 3 generations, the country has evolved like few others due to rapid industrialization. Today, South Korea has a $1.6 trillion economy, the 4th largest in Asia after China, Japan, and India. As South Korea has transformed, so too has its population, and very quickly at that, leaving the country at a true population paradox. Blah, 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 blah. It says, for South Korea, we have a rapidly aging population as well as a low marriage and birth rate. And let me see. Oh, South Korea has the lowest fertility rate in the world. I'm actually shocked.
Oh my
I did not
God.
expect that. The average South Korean woman has just 1.1 children, lower than any other country. What? I thought they were going to say like lowest out of the OECD countries.
Yeah.
But apparently it's the lowest in the world. For contrast, the global average is around 2.5 children. So in Korea, the average South Korean woman has just 1.1 children. The global average is 2.5.
Wow.
This has been declining steadily between the early 1950s and today. The fertility rate in South Korea dropped from 5.6 to 1.1 per woman. Wow. That's bad. Mm-hmm. That is bad. So yeah, we have surpassed Japan apparently. I think Japan's like almost the same, but
similar.
It's bad. It's bad.
Mm-hmm. It's
oh my
crazy.
God. Do I need to marry a Korean man to continue the Korean bloodline?
I think you need to, Rose. It's all about that
Should
Korean bloodline.
I take one for the team?
Mm-hmm. So
oh my God.
We need to find you a Korean man. Yeah. I'm not kidding, Rose. We need to get you a Korean man. This is, this
But
is
you know what? At the end of the day, does it really matter? We are all just going to be mixed anyways.
Exactly. There was this, what was this thing? I was watching this like YouTube video. I think it was like about beauty, like men beauty standards around the world. Like it showed different guys from different countries. And I think it showed like at the end, like what's going to happen because, it's like you had these like countries that were so like unicultural for a long time, right? Like you had some pockets that were like that. And that's starting to become like less and less. Like you still have like a lot of that, but like even in places, you get people like leaving countries, going to other countries, people moving to that country, and you're getting a lot of this more like mixing and mingling. Mm-hmm. So they're saying eventually, at some point, probably like hundreds of years down the road, we're just going to become kind of very like
mixed. And I think that's fine. Like I honestly don't necessarily, and this is probably an unpopular opinion because not an unpopular opinion, but in Korea, like Korean people are very much like, oh, like pure Korean, we need to be Koreans. We all need to just birth Koreans and,
yeah.
Well, clearly they're not doing their job properly. God damn.
They're not.
But I don't really have, like a part of me, it does, obviously there is a part that's sad about potentially, because obviously the more you mix, the more you are going to lose a bit of the culture. That's what I was going to say. I'm worried about. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the thing that I think
language and culture.
Exactly. And this is what's going to be sad, like globally, as we get more mixed, is you are going to see countries, and you're already starting to see this of some countries that are losing their language and losing their culture. Ireland's a perfect example. Like pretty much no one in Ireland, like a very small percentage now, speaks, I think it's Gaelic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
isn't Welsh a language as well?
It is, yeah. And again, the people in Wales, not a huge percentage of them, from what I understand. And same with Scotland. Scotland had another form of like Gaelic, I think, up there in the Highlands and stuff. And I don't think it's widely spoken. So, and
even Native Canadians, Native Americans had their own languages. And I think a lot of it was wiped out for, other reasons, which aren't good. But still, we've lost languages through there.
And so that's the part that's gonna be sad, is to lose like, some of the tradition, some of the like language, the culture, even even the foods, right? Like traditional certain foods might get lost. So
in some ways I do, it's sad, and it is sad in some ways. I do like the kind of differences in culture and differences in languages, but I guess in some ways it could be, good to have, more interconnected world. That's interesting. It truly is a happy hour, isn't it? We're talking so much about the world, guys. But are just
This would be our usual conversation anyway.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I was saying, you guys are a fly on the wall right now, like legit.
So if you ever see me and Rose in a bar, just having a couple drinks, whatever.
You just sounded so Canadian. If you ever see me and Rose in a bar.
Did I actually? Am I losing?
You literally just said in a bar.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to re-listen to. Well, I'm gonna re-listen to it anyway when I edit. But like, do you think that like, because I was sounding a little British back then, but I think I'm getting back to be Canadian, aren't I?
I don't think. I mean, okay, there were certain. I feel like you sounded less British than like me and Chrissy. Remember me and Chrissy at the end? We had that more of that like that tone. Yeah. I think you had more of a. You've always kind of sounded like Daniel. Like you didn't have too much of a change.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you did a little bit. Maybe I just didn't notice because I was always talking to you and stuff. And maybe because I also lived in London. Yeah. But I remember when I came back from London initially, everyone was like, oh my God, you sound British. I'm like, British people would not agree with you.
Definitely not.
But the Canadians would be like, you sound British. Like you have a British accent. I was like, I don't have a British accent. I just like maybe talk in the tone that they speak in a little bit.
It's the inflection as well because
it's the
Canadians,
inflection. That's what I mean.
We like go up at certain parts of our sentences where they go up at different parts of their sentences. So like it's like a weird like
it's like when you ask a question. I always say this is the example I use. So in England, when you ask a question, it goes down. So they'll be like, "Oh, where's the toilet?" It goes down. You know, they'll be like, "Where's the toilet?" Whereas like in Canada, it would be like, do you know where the bathroom is?
Yeah.
You know? So,
do you know where the bathroom is?
Yeah. So what I found was that the more I lived in London, it's not that I got a British accent. It's that I would get that kind of inflection. Is that
exactly.
Is that the term? Yeah.
Exactly. I think so. It's like the way that they speak. It's not necessarily like the accent.
Yeah.
But it's the way that like structure their sentences and the way I think it is called inflection when you when you highlight certain parts of a sentence. So like, for example, if you move to Australia, you might not necessarily get an Australian accent, but you might start like saying a sentence in a Canadian accent, but the way an Australian would say it.
Yes, and it sounds kind of like you're talking in an Australian accent.
Exactly.
So, for example, if I said, "Oh, do you know where do you know where the toilet is?" I'm still talking in my Canadian accent.
Yeah.
But it sounds kind of like I'm British. So I think that's what I used to do without me realizing. So I'd be like, "Oh, where's the toilet?" And then people are like, "Why are you talking in a British accent?" I'm like, "I'm not."
Oh God.
But now I lost it. So basically everything that's interesting about me has been gone. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's not true. That's not true.
I'm kidding. Oh, this is fun. We should continue. Guys, this is going to be a long episode. We're going to do an extra long episode. This is a 1-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, my God. So 1 year of the podcast. So it's pretty crazy.
Have you been enjoying it, Daniel?
I have. Yeah. Like I said, it's been nice because it's like something that we get to do together. And it keeps me like on top of the like what's going on, like kind of. And
it was great during the pandemic. Can we talk about that?
During the pandemic, it was like a lifesaver. Like
when
seriously,
you were in Spain.
If I didn't have this podcast,
what else would you have done?
I would have like died.
Okay, a little dramatic.
That's true. Okay, I wouldn't have died, but like it was just like it meant that I had schedule. I had a routine because we were meeting a certain time, and it meant that I had something to do kind of during my weeks and stuff because, you know, it would be kind of depressing if I had nothing to do.
You know what? Like, I feel like this pandemic has taught us a lot of things. Like, for example, having a routine and a schedule is actually very good.
It is nice. Yeah. But I've always kind of known that. Like I said to myself, like, you know, it's nice to like have a week off. Like, don't get me wrong. To have a week off is amazing. But then once you go past that, especially it's different if you go on a trip. That's completely different. Like you're traveling, whatever else. But if you just had like a week off your regular routine, completely off work, it's kind of nice. You know, you can get some cleaning done, do some like extra, you know,
sleep
cool
in
stuff.
a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you start to get towards the end of that week and get into the next week, and if it continues on like that, it actually starts to become boring, you know, and you start to think like,
what do you think about like retirement? So what do you like, how do you have you ever envisioned retirement and like what? I
haven't yet, but, one thing that I think is really, really important in retirement is that you, whatever that means, however you do it, but you keep busy, you know, like not like so busy like before. Like maybe you have a little bit like of a more casual day-to-day schedule. Like maybe you sleep in more often, but you have things to do throughout the week, because I think it's so important, be that volunteering, be that maybe working part-time, you know, and actually maybe you retire. A lot of people that retire nowadays, they don't necessarily have to work, but they work part-time just to have a schedule, just so that they like, oh, I work like 10 hours at like a coffee shop or something, just because, you know, it gives me something to do, something to like look forward to, and have a, like, you know, something else going on. And also, I think there's something to be said about, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I think there's something to be said about having something going on like a hobby or a part-time job that actually keeps you young. Because the second if you retire, and let's say your retirement is spent watching TV all day, not doing anything, and you're literally just like maybe getting groceries and just always at home, I feel like you're going to age yourself faster than if you keep doing things.
Like, yeah, you need to keep like meeting people, either your friends or family or whatever, or maybe having a certain volunteer job, something.
Obviously, it doesn't have to be the same amount and volume as when you were working, because you want to kind of, it's your time now to like take a little kind of like not a backseat, but like a more chill approach. But it's still, I think it's so important to like.
Oh my God, I think I would be a great retired person.
You think so?
Do you not think?
No, yeah, I think you would. But have you thought what would you do? What are things you're going to do in your retirement? I can't even talk either. I'm like,
we've had quite a bit to drink. Well, I haven't really thought about it, to be honest, but I definitely would keep busy, because I'm definitely not the type of person to sit around. Like to me, that's the worst thing. Like I can't. So I definitely would either do some volunteering. I would definitely travel, I think, if I can still like physically. Yeah. Hopefully I can at that time. Yeah. I think, I would have maybe different little projects, and I feel like I would keep myself busy. You know, I have instruments that I would, you know, play, and maybe I would, you know, take up gardening. I'm an old lady. I'd garden, you know. I would, you know what? The other day I randomly had this thought, and it was kind of crazy, but I was like, oh my God, I can see myself doing this. Okay. I was watching random animal videos on YouTube, and some of them were like videos about animals getting rescued, and then they were like put in a sanctuary, and they like live out their lives in a sanctuary. And I was like, oh my God,
you could start a sanctuary.
Yes, I kind of want to. Like when I retire, that would be the perfect. I'm sorry, but like that would be retirement goals. Like it's not even retirement really, but like it would be kind of retirement. You know, I would want to do that kind of, you know, at the end of my. I mean, not necessarily. I didn't really actually think when I saw that, and I was thinking, I could start a sanctuary. I wasn't thinking that was my retirement plan. I was just thinking, maybe one day.
I think it will be the thing about that. I think it's a positive idea, and I think it's a great idea as well, because, you know, also there's something to be said about having, you know, animals around and stuff as well, because it's actually been proven that it improves your mood, your quality of life, everything like that, especially
100%.
Exactly, especially as you get older. That's why they often bring like dogs and pets into the, you know, older folks' homes and stuff. I can't even talk either. But I think the hard part about that one, and not to like crush your vision.
Well, you crush my dreams.
No, I'm not. But you're gonna have to think about how to combat this, because if you retire at a certain age, let's say you're 60 when you retire, right?
You mean I'm going to be tired?
No, but I'm just saying you're going to want to, like you said, you want to travel, right? So if you're traveling, you're going to need to make arrangements for having somebody to look after all the animals while you're gone. So that's something you have to think about as well. Because if you want to do like the beauty about being retired is you could literally, if you wanted to, and if you had the money, not that you could do it on the budget as well, but you could be like, you know what? I don't want to be in Calgary for the winter. I'm going to book a villa in Mexico for 4 months. Exactly. And go down there because you can. And chill out there before you come back to Canada. You know, there's so many options because you wouldn't have like such a strict schedule. So
yeah,
you'd have to think about that stuff.
Well, you know, I think if I were to start a sanctuary, I would have a lot of volunteers and people that were working in the sanctuary. I don't know. Like, I obviously haven't thought this through, but it would be amazing. I think that's, you're right. Like if, you know, I would have to think about my lifestyle, and obviously it would be a huge responsibility. I can't just you know, up and leave.
Exactly.
But I definitely couldn't do it on my own. So for sure you would need help. So
no, you'd have like you said, volunteers, people that work there.
But like it would be so amazing. I would like wake up and like feed the piggies feed the cows. Oh,
it would be cute. You know, your little grandkids would come help you.
yes. And like and the cows would come in like these videos that I watch. It's like little like pigs that were like they were like thrown out of like a slaughterhouse or something. And then they like got found, and then they got sent to this like sanctuary. And then at first they're like really scared, and they like, you know, they're really afraid of humans. And then eventually they like, you know, feel grass for the first time, and they like jump for joy, and it's so cute. And I'm like, oh my God, I would die. I would like, I want this to be my life.
Yeah. That's that would be amazing.
It's more fulfilling. I mean, to be honest, I would rather have that than have a villa in Mexico. I could always go to Mexico. I mean, I could still go and like go for 2 weeks. I don't necessarily have to go for the whole winter.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, again, it's just, that would be pretty cool though. That would be fun.
It'd be so amazing.
And it would keep you busy. And I think this is the thing. I think why, and I could be wrong, you know, it depends on so many different factors, your health, all different kinds of stuff, right? But I think too many people, or a lot of people, when they retire, they just kind of like stop everything. Like, you know, they're not working anymore. And then, maybe the first couple months they're like sleeping in and they're loving it. But then after a while, they start to age themselves because they're not out there doing things, you know, and you do start to like, you know, I feel like you shorten your lifespan as well when you do that, because I feel like if you're active and out and doing things, I feel like there's something to be said about keeping your mind stimulated, keeping your body stimulated.
But do you think certain people are like that versus like we're obviously not really like that?
I think you're right. I think that's a good point, because like for me, don't get me wrong, like I could spend a week and just chill at my house. Well, actually, I don't even think I could do it for a week.
No, I don't think you could do a week. You would probably go crazy. You're worse than me when it comes to this.
I know I could go a couple days probably, but then after that, I just need to be doing something, you know?
Yeah.
So
like at least go for a walk or do something.
Yeah.
But you know what? Animals are the solution. I'm telling you. Whether or not I have a sanctuary. Animals are just the best.
I know. I was thinking for me, because at least right now, especially right now, even for the next couple of years, like I don't see myself getting a pet because of my lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like the things, you know, I like to go out and go drinking and go travel and do all this stuff. But I think I did foresee, and I don't know if it's going to happen when I'm a bit older, but I did foresee for sure when I get close to retirement age, I'm going to get a pet. For 100% sure, I'm probably going to get a dog or something, like some animal.
Really close to retirement age? You're going to wait that long, Daniel?
God damn, what's wrong with that, Roses?
Oh, it's because you didn't really grow up with animals.
But the thing is, I would, you know, I'm just meaning, what am I trying to say? I can't even talk. I want, oh my God.
Can you talk? Oh God, Daniel, you almost finished that bottle of wine.
No, like I was saying that I would do that in retirement, but like it could happen sooner. I just know for the next like 5 years at least, that's probably not going to happen, just because of my lifestyle now that I want to live. Do you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to take in a dog because I know how much work dogs are, and I know that I wouldn't be a you know, because I want to still do a ton of traveling and like big trips and all kinds of stuff. And I know you can still do that with a pet, but it's like a lot more responsibility and a lot more difficult. And you know I have commitment issues, so that's a big commitment.
I think that's mainly the issue. But it's also because of the fact that I know you had a dog. Did you have a dog like when you were very young, you said? Or was it a cat?
I had a cat.
Okay. So you had a cat when you were very young, so you're not used to really having an animal around, whereas like I got used to it because I had Minnie and now I have Nari.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. Like it's 100% like huge responsibility. It's not something that anyone should do unless they're like really ready for the responsibility.
Yeah.
But for me, because now I'm so used to, you know, having these animals around, and I know like how much they give to your, like, of course there's so much responsibility, but they're also like, they give you so much like in return. So like I definitely like once I get a family, like when I'm single, like, yeah, it's going to be harder for me to like commit to an animal, like for my household and stuff. But once I get a family and like if I get a family, if I get married, like we'll see. If I do, I definitely want a dog.
Yeah. No, I
3.
can see that. This is the thing. Once I'm more settled with a family as well, if that is what's in the cards for me, then that's definitely something that would be in the future. But like just right now and my lifestyle and, you know,
single,
the way that
it's hard when you're single, kind of.
Exactly.
When you're alone, because you have all the responsibility.
This is it. It's just on you, no one else. So then you have to think, oh, like, because right now, as it is, I could just drop everything. If you're like, oh, Daniel, shall we meet? Well, if there wasn't this virus, but like if I'm living downtown and you're like, hey, what are you doing after work? Shall we go grab some cocktails or something? Be like, yeah, sure. Let's go. Let's do it. Whereas if you had a dog and
You have to go home, feed the dog. Yeah.
Take it for a walk, do all that stuff. And there's a lot more to it, right? I'm not, like you said, they give you a lot as well. But I just think like right now where I am at in my life, like I'm just not ready for that.
It's not fair for the dog.
Exactly. This is the thing. If I have a dog, I want to give as much as I can to that dog. And I feel like I wouldn't be fair to it now.
Yeah. God damn. Well, Nari is having the best time of her life. The COVID thing is the best thing that's ever happened to her. I'll tell you that much.
Everyone's home all the time.
I honestly think she is so spoiled because she's never really alone because my parents, like either one of them are usually home and but it's great. I'm very happy that she's having the time of her life.
Exactly. No, but that's good, and like you said, like she's enjoying being around all of you guys as much as you guys are around her, so
yes, she's a bit cray cray.
she is a bit crazy. I remember when we took her for a walk up in Nose Hill and she was like getting crazy with you, Rose, like
she gets into these weird moods where she gets like so hyper.
Yeah.
Nari is so like, guys, if you don't know, Nari is my family dog. So like, she lives with my parents, but basically she's my dog. Okay. Cause I adopted her technically, but then I was like, parents, she lives with you. The main reason is because I would have taken her, but it's because at that time I lived in an apartment that didn't allow dogs. So my parents have a house with a, large backyard. So it's obviously better for her as well. So she's living there and she is just like the craziest dog. She has like so much energy. And sometimes she gets into this like mood where she just like, we take her off leash in like an off leash park and she'll just run. I'm sure other dogs do this as well. Okay. Minnie used to do this sometimes too, but Nari gets like insane, which will just like run and run and run in like circles.
Yeah.
And like just kind of go out of control.
It's almost like she gets so excited. She just doesn't know how to control herself.
Yeah.
So she just like gets into this almost like hypnotic state of like, of like craziness of just like running, like going in circles.
Daniel was like, what is happening?
Yeah, because I was like, oh my God. To be fair, my friend's dog does it a little bit, but like not quite like, because my friend's dog's also
Nari's,
like
yeah,
quite young.
Nari's
but
insane.
Like, yeah, Nari was like, whoa. I was like, oh my God, she's so cute. But like, I was just like, whoa. And she kept like jumping on Rose to like get her to play with her or something. And you're like, Daniel, I think she thinks I'm just like a dog or something,
She actually, I think she thinks I'm a dog. Like, I'm pretty sure she thinks I'm a dog. It's because I never like scold her because I'm such a, my parents are always like, you need to like not spoil her. I'm like, I know, but like, she's so cute. And then my parents are like, oh my God, you're spoiling her too much. And I'm like, well, it's fine. So she thinks I'm a dog.
You know what's so nice about pets as well, though, and dogs, and like why I think partly why they bring so much joy to people as well is like they literally like unconditionally love you. Do you know what I mean?
It's amazing.
Like, you like come home and they'll be so excited to see you, like more excited, like. Because people we're not like
anyone,
that, Yeah, like we're never gonna be like that, Like there's gonna be days where I'm like, oh, fucking pissed off with my partner or whatever, you know what I mean? Whereas it's like dogs, like they might have their moments, but like the second they're like you're about to take them for a walk or you come in the door, they're just like, oh my God, like they haven't. It's like they haven't seen you for years, even though they saw you like 10 minutes ago. They're like,
that's what's amazing. What's amazing. And it's like even though you're not speaking, it's like you can feel the love. You're like, oh. It's so like it's like nothing it's different from human interaction and there's nothing you can't really compare it to human interaction. It's like so different. It's like a different form of communication.
Well, how interesting is it though that you can like even though you don't speak obviously the same language, but like you can kind of understand like each other, you know what I mean? Like when you tell your dog to come, they know, or like when they're making
when you're kind of mad at the dog, they know.
Exactly. But it's the same with the dog. You also know if Nari's like sad about something, or if she's like if she has like an angry bark, or like you're like, oh my God, what's she doing right? You know what I mean? So it's kind of
she does this lately. She's been doing this weird thing. So we take her to the dog park all the time. And she's a very nice dog. The thing is, like, she's crazy in terms of, like, she's so energetic and she just, like, wants to play, and she's like a wild child, you know? But she's never mean. Like, she's always nice to all dogs. She just wants to play with everybody. But lately she's been a little, not necessarily aggressive, but it's like I think she gets jealous or she wants to protect. It's one or the other. Where, like, for example, let's say, like, another dog came up to me at the dog park and, like, was kind of like, you know, like, dogs, like, jump up a little bit. So if the dog does that, she's recently been, you know, when a dog does that, she'll, like, come up and kind of, like, she'll never bite or anything like that, but she'll kind of be a little bit more, like, slightly, you know, it's like she's trying to protect or she's jealous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, don't do that. But I don't know. Maybe you guys, if you guys have dogs, you can, if anyone's still listening, it's been like fucking 2.5 hours.
It's like 2 hours. I'm starting to think maybe we should not cut this, but like,
you don't want to continue. You don't want to make this a 3-hour episode.
Oh, god damn, Rose. No one going to listen to us for 3 hours. Okay.
There's some podcasts that are 3 hours long.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, there's some podcast episodes, like Joe Rogan sometimes does 3-hour long podcasts, but I guess it's Joe Rogan.
Yeah, it's
People
Joe
will
Rogan.
listen to Joe Rogan. Hey, we could be just as good as Joe Rogan. I think we're more interesting than Joe Rogan.
God damn. We just need that that one episode, you know, to go viral and then create this like huge buzz around our podcast. I feel like we're like bubbling.
Do podcast episodes go viral though?
I think so. Sometimes something will happen and they'll be like, oh my God, have you heard about this podcast? Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so we need to do something crazy then.
Oh, God damn. I don't want to know, but I think that we're just like bubbling under the surface at the moment, you know, ready to big things going to happen in 2021. Yeah. And it's going to take off.
Are we putting it out there? 2021.
Our podcast is going to take off. It's going to become a contender or competitor with Joe Rogan. Could you imagine? That would be insane.
Okay, no. So the other day I was looking at Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't really listen to Joe Rogan. I've seen.
I don't either.
Yeah, I watched some clips like on YouTube because there's like shortened clips. But yeah, I don't really listen to Joe Rogan. But I saw like kind of because I was like fascinated by, you know, how his podcast became such a large podcast. It's like the number one podcast in the world.
Yeah.
And so I was like interested. And I was watching kind of the history of it. And I guess he just started because first he was on Fear. Do you know he was the host of Fear Factor?
No, I didn't know. Oh my God.
Oh
my God. It makes sense. I knew I recognized him from somewhere.
Yes, he was the host. Yeah. And I think before that or maybe after that, he was like on, I don't know, he was some kind of maybe in the sports. I think he was like hosting for UFC. I don't know. He did some other stuff. But I think he was before the podcast, the most well-known thing he did was Fear Factor.
Fear Factor. That's mine. You just blew my mind, Rose.
Yeah. So now you're like, oh my God, I recognize him now. Yeah. So that's what he was on. And then I think obviously I think he did that for a while and he was, you know, probably a little bit sick of it. And then I guess he had a website where, are you still on? Okay, you're still there. Okay, so I guess he had a website where he had his own website, and then he started. This was like back in like 2000, I don't know, 3 or 4, like long time ago.
Yeah.
And I guess like he had this website, and then he like knew somebody that made videos for somebody else, and he was like, "Oh, why don't you make videos for me?" So they started making videos on their website, and that kind of turned into a random like podcast. So it was what I'm saying, my whole point is it started a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Like he started this before podcasts were even like really a thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why he's very big, because he built that audience up from like fucking 2000, maybe 5 or something, like long time ago. So we look at obviously we look at what he's achieved now and we think, oh my God, that's amazing. Like I want to get that. But like he's worked it up for the last like 15 years, maybe. Who knows, right?
Exactly. It doesn't it doesn't happen overnight, right? So it like takes time to
especially podcasts.
We'll see, Daniel. They're the long. Exactly. They're the, like I said before, they're the long game. You know, podcasts aren't like a quick, easy thing. And the good thing is like we're enjoying it right now and having fun. So I think that's the important thing.
That's the thing. I feel like there's so much more to something like a podcast. And I feel like it's enjoyable because we're doing it because like we just enjoy conversation. And if anyone wants to listen, that's amazing. And we would still be having these conversations regardless of, us doing this.
But that's the fun. That's what I think is so fun about our podcast is like, okay, maybe we wouldn't be like looking up all of these news stories and things.
Yeah.
But we would be still talking about like a lot of the stuff that we talk about. It's like if we saw that news story or that article, we would bring it up and we'd be like, oh, going for drinks and be like, oh my God, did you read about this? Like freaking crazy. Or like even like, our friends send us articles and like we'll all be talking about them and stuff. So this is like something we would be doing anyway, like you said. So it's kind of fun to like put that out there. And, and to be fair, like I'm surprised, like in this year, we have gotten such a good response overall from our listeners and stuff and our people that view us on YouTube, which is super encouraging and nice, like to get that,
positive feedback.
Exactly. And actually there's a really cool thing. I'm going to post some highlights from it because I didn't go through it all yet. But there's like a, what's it called? Spotify year end 2020 kind of thing.
Oh, I want to see it.
It's so cool, but they have it for the podcast, right? So I started going through it and it was like, it was like you were heard in over 55 countries. And then it was like something else came up and it was like you've recorded or you put out this much content this year. And like there was like a couple others and I was like, oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
So I think that's it's encouragement to keep going and just enjoy we're enjoying doing this.
Yes.
And, until it becomes like something that we don't want to do, I think we just keep going and see what happens, And you're right, like maybe we become the next Joe Rogan or maybe
in 20 years, who knows, guys?
Exactly. Or even if we like achieved even half of that or a quarter of that, it's like, or even a little bit more than what we're achieving now. It's exciting to see kind of where it goes. So
yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. Goddamn, I'll be drunk.
Oh, goddamn. Well,
you almost done your wine?
Now I'm almost done.
Is that your last little bit, Daniel? Guys, I hope you're enjoying this, very long episode. I wonder if any one of you are still there.
I think there's got to be somebody still there. Maybe. I don't know.
If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening, maybe you can just hop onto the YouTube video and comment down below. Because I used to do this when I had like a really long YouTube video on my channel.
Yeah.
And like I was always like, oh my God, is anyone even watching until like, to this point? And I like asked people to like comment like a weird sentence. And I'd be like, can you please like comment this down below so I know like how many of you are still listening or watching? Yeah. So we should do this right now.
Okay.
Think of a random sentence. You think.
I was going to say Rose the red-nosed reindeer.
Yes. Good,
so
guys.
If you're still watching at this point.
Or listening.
Well, listening, it's kind of harder for the people to comment, though.
That's true.
Because on Spotify and like podcasts, like you just can't comment.
Maybe if you can like get yourself to go on YouTube and go on your channel and go on this video and comment, you could do that, but you don't have to. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but if you are still listening, comment Rose the red-nosed reindeer.
There's gonna be like no comments. I'm like, oh God. It's fine because a lot of people listen on Spotify.
Exactly. We have quite a big audience on Spotify, which is really cool.
See, this is what I don't like. One of the things I don't like, I mean, maybe it's good in some ways actually, but one of the things I don't like is not getting the comments for like the listeners, because again, like podcasts are such a different platform. And in some ways I actually do enjoy that. Because I think it does allow us to kind of freely talk, even though we do put this on YouTube. So it does subject us to a little bit more, criticism, obviously. But like if you were just doing podcast, you could just talk and you don't really get the pushback that you would get on YouTube. And in some ways it's kind of nice,
Yeah, there's pros and cons, like, right? Like you said, like the good thing about podcasts is, if we were just doing this on those platforms, it's really difficult to get a feedback loop. So in some ways that's good because you won't get those like crazy people, or not crazy, but like really, really negative, like comments and stuff.
Yeah, you questioning everything you just said because somebody,
But on the flip side, it also makes it a lot harder to interact with your audience. So like that's one of the things that's challenging, because if we just had this on Spotify and like Apple Podcasts or whatever, and a couple other platforms, like we wouldn't really know what people are thinking. Like other than our Instagram account, we wouldn't get that feedback loop. Whereas on Instagram, we get people like, or not Instagram, YouTube, we get like comments, things like that. Like so that's kind of, so it's an interesting one. It's like a kind of yeah, I don't know.
There's pros and cons. It's a tough one.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like, and I'm so used to, because I'm a YouTuber, I'm so used to being like, comment down below, like, let me know your thoughts. So like, I say this all the time, and I realize that it's not necessarily, feasible on a podcast sort of situation.
Because really the only people that can comment, Rose, are people that are watching this on YouTube, to be honest. Because the other platforms, there's no commenting unless you guys are following us on Instagram at the SaVeg Podcast. There's not a plug there, and
which you should be, guys.
Then they can comment or send us DMs and stuff, which is nice. Like a lot of the questions we talked about today are from people, asking us questions, getting involved. So we really, really like that, and it's kind of nice to have that kind of feedback loop, I guess. To like,
should we start a TikTok?
Things. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about TikTok. Maybe because I'm a grandpa, but
you're such a grandpa. You barely know how to use Instagram.
Exactly. So how's your TikTok going, by the way, Rose?
Oh my God. Well, I've started being a little bit more into it. So I've been posting a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still unsure about TikTok, but I feel like I'm kind of forced in that direction because of what I do for a living.
Yeah. I mean,
but who knows?
You have to be, because of what you do for a living, on all social media, basically, right?
Oh, I mean, not necessarily, but it does help.
Yeah.
But I do, TikTok could be good. I don't know. I don't know if any other podcasts have TikTok. Because like the thing with TikTok, the interesting thing with TikTok is that, it's kind of like random, I feel like. So anyone could find us. So one day we could just potentially go viral. So we could put like a random clip of us talking about some random shit, saying some stupid shit, but it's like funny. Like let's say it's like a funny clip. And then people see us and they like it, and let's say it goes viral. Then they go to our page and then it says our podcast name, and then more people listen. It's a potential opportunity,
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just I feel like, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about TikTok.
What are your mixed feelings?
Something to think about. No, I mean, it's something to consider. I mean, we could put some stuff on TikTok. We could start a TikTok. I mean, I have no issues with that.
I can't even talk. Neither of us have time. That's the issue.
I mean, that's the part of me. I mean, it doesn't take long to make a TikTok though, right?
Yeah, but it's an extra little element. Trust, like you would think.
That's true.
That's the thing. It's like I always think, it doesn't take that long to post on Instagram. It doesn't take that long to make a 15-second, Insta reel. It doesn't take that long to make a 30-second TikTok.
It does though.
But if you put all those things together and you think about it and you're like, actually, it does.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. So even with Instagram now, there's like, you have the posts, then you have the stories, then you have IGTV, and you have the reels. There's like 4 different things that you have to kind of like keep on top of. And it's like, it's hard.
There's just like a lot of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's just, it's just so much. And I like,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You know what? Grandpa Daniel, I'll let you continue on the Instagram.
God damn, Rose. You mean as hell.
Daniel, it's 2021 almost.
I know.
Can you believe? I'm sorry. Can I get a refund for 2020?
Yeah, you want to return 2020.
I kind of want to return 2020. Like, I don't think I got my money's worth. I don't think I got any value out of 2020.
No, I think we all definitely got some value. Like, in a sense that, like, we learned.
Think?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I think there's been some good things that have come out of this. Like, I agree. There's been a lot of, like,
you're right, actually.
Not so good things.
You're right.
Yeah.
What are let's name some of the good things that came out of 2020. Let's be positive for yourself.
Damn. So I think one of them is like reconnecting with yourself. Is one big one, especially when there was like a hardcore lockdowns. That was like opportunity to like really, when things really shut down, it's like you had a chance to really focus and actually get some time back. So that's one thing that I've noticed, because normally our lives are like go, pedal to the metal, all this stuff. But when it's locked down like this, you do get some of that time back. And also you get more time to, like, for me, one of the things that I've appreciated this year is being able to spend more time with my parents. So like coming back, I'm at their house and like I've spent way more time with them than normally I would. Even if I had moved back and if there wasn't the pandemic, I would already be living downtown. I wouldn't be here. I'd be seeing my parents like once every couple of weeks or whatever, or try to see them every weekend. But you know, it might not be a reality. Whereas now I see them like every day, which is really nice. And yeah, I think also that getting to know your community, not communities, but like, you know, going on walks more and doing things like even in my neighborhood, there's so many cool parks and things that I didn't know, which I would have never found out if it wasn't for this pandemic. Right. So the bike paths, the bike trails all across the city, probably wouldn't have necessarily explored that if I wasn't forced to, you know?
Yeah.
So
Aw, that's nice. You're right. Actually, there's a lot of positives. I mean, we've been lucky. That's one thing to acknowledge. We've both been quite
100%.
lucky. Like, we haven't had any big tragedies like in our immediate, you know, family
circle, exactly.
or friends or whatever. So that's one thing to acknowledge.
Yeah. And we haven't had like financial concerns either. So
exactly. We both have, you know, jobs, which is again, like big thing. So it's it's obviously tragic for so many people. So we definitely acknowledge that. But I think, you know, for a lot of us, obviously we're all going through something. Okay. We're all going through this thing together. And yeah, like 100%, like all the things I agree with you. Like, I think one of the big things, especially in that very beginning time, was like having more time, like, because I was so, you know, and I'm still very busy, but like in that initial stage, when we had to shut down the cafe, that first lockdown, like I didn't I was so busy before, and I finally got to kind of like relax a little bit and have a little bit more, you know, I guess work-life balance a little bit. And that was actually really nice in a strange way. It was nice to, you know, have a little bit more time to sleep in and, you know, so it was a bit more balanced. And another thing was, like being able to actually like explore our home, like this city, which again, I normally don't. I normally, you know, go traveling somewhere. When I'm in the city, I don't really explore the local surroundings.
Because think about even downtown, how many places you've walked to and stuff now that you would have barely went to.
And the biggest thing for me was my my fitness, my running. I started running.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And now, like I'm so into running now. And it's unfortunate now because it's becoming winter, but in the summer, I started running because of this pandemic, because gyms were closed, and obviously I had to find different ways of working out. And I used to do home workouts, but I didn't necessarily enjoy the home workouts as much. And I started walking a little bit more. So I got really into walking. So that's another thing. Got super into walking. So many nice areas to walk around. Honestly, we're so blessed here in Canada. Like
100%.
Oh my God, it's amazing. So many beautiful places to go to. So I started hiking a lot as well. The amount of hikes I went to this year, like so much more than before. And I started jogging, and now I've gotten like really into jogging. So I feel like my fitness has like improved significantly this year. So that's good.
Exactly. And these are all things that you wouldn't necessarily have done if you weren't forced 100%. Into it, right? Especially 100%. I feel like the walking as well. Like I have walked more in the city and like all over the city than I ever have, even when I was living in Canada before.
We didn't really walk before, but now we've started like really enjoying walking.
I love it. I honestly, just yesterday, I was like walking all over Inglewood, Bridgeland.
I love it. Like, I honestly, if like, I'm like, before I'm like, oh, it's like an hour walk, I'm not going to walk there. I'm like, now I'm like, hour walk, great. Let me
sign me up.
Perfect. Sign me up. I'm totally down. Like, I love walking. Like, fuck.
And think about like also too, like so many beautiful like places. And, you know, I also realized like, especially with our downtown core, how close everything is. Like not close, but like in relative terms. Like I remember when we went on that one walk where we did like, I think like 30,000 steps that day. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah, we did.
And we like stumbled upon Lindsay Park, which is like right by like 4th Street and stuff. And like,
it was so nice.
So nice around there. And then also you doing the running went up to Stanley. Is it Stanley Park or something like that?
Stanley Park,
and like,
yeah.
Yeah. And these are places that like
I never went to before.
Exactly. And think of these beautiful, and same with like the biking, because all of those places have the bike paths and stuff. It's opened the city up to me. So like that's something I'm going to take. And like next year, I'm really gonna, even if it's like the lockdowns like calm down, everything else, especially next summer, if I don't have stuff planned on the weekends, I am going bike riding all over the city because I love it so much.
Well, I think I need to get a bike.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And are you going to come running with me? Are you going to do a half marathon with me?
I was thinking about it. I mean, I can't, I'm not really able to start training yet because obviously like now my back like is, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I mean, I don't think I'm going to actually start training until
like spring.
Winter's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now the longest I've gone is, I think it was like 11.5 or 12 kilometers.
Which is amazing. That's amazing, Rose.
So my plan, and yesterday I haven't run for a while, but I went for a run and I did 9 kilometers. So I think after the winter, I mean, I'm going to try to run as much as I can while it's, you know, kind of nice enough. But I think after winter, I'm going to like actually try to like work up to half a marathon, which is I think 21 kilometers.
Yeah.
Which I never would have thought I would ever even contemplate. But now that I've kind of gotten used to running, it gets easier. That's the thing. Running sounded like horrifying to me before.
Yeah.
Like I never really enjoyed running. But I started just a little bit, just being like, oh, I'll just run a little and walk a little, whatever. And then I started doing like 5K and I was like, oh, cool. And it started getting easier.
Yeah.
And the more I did 5K, I was like, actually, this is kind of easy. I could do a little bit more. And then you just work up and all of a sudden you're doing 10K and 11K and 12K.
And you're like, oh my God, how did I get to this level? That's awesome though. Like, cause I'm going to be, I'm hopefully going to be downtown by the time the winter's over. Yeah! And then we can definitely go running together.
Yes.
Cause I'd be down. And I also like, I can't wait till my office opens. Cause I also wanted to do like, when I was in London, it used to get a bit crazy cause there'd be so many people, but my office was kind of close to the river. So we used to run around the river. Like, you know, we're at like South Bank and all those areas.
Honestly, I love it.
So, and where my office is, I could probably do, I don't know how many kilometers this would be. If I went from like, what if I did the Peace Bridge to St. Patrick's Bridge? How long is that loop?
It's not that long.
No, I didn't think so.
Wait, Peace Bridge to, that's really not that long.
Yeah. So I think that loop would probably be like 6K.
Maybe. The loop? Yeah, maybe not even. It's actually like quite short. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I mean, I'll explain to you later. I don't want to bore our international audience with our local geographical.
This is true. We're like, oh, this place in Calgary. Because,
anyways, I'm sure. Moral of the story is that there's some positives that came out of the, you know, the situation that we're in. Yeah. And for example, like I spent a lot more time in the mountains and going hiking, for example, this summer. And even just spending time here in the summer was very nice for me because I actually I don't really appreciate this place as much as I should, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm always traveling.
Here.
It is. It really is. Yeah. It really is. And I think I really recognized that this summer. And realizing like, oh my God, we actually have so much in our backyard. Like, you know, we should be thankful for so much we have. And even if you're not in, you know, a really beautiful place, I think a lot of people can realize like, oh, okay, there's a lot going for my life at this point. Because there's so many people suffering. So we see so much in the news. So I think it almost makes you appreciate what you have.
No, definitely.
God damn.
I would agree.
What movies are you watching nowadays, Daniel? Did you watch anything funnies?
No, well, I have gotten, so one thing that I'm going to recommend to everyone, which is it took me a little while to get into it at first.
Oh my God, what?
But I freaking love Schitt's Creek.
Oh, you're like obsessed.
I'm seriously obsessed. You know why though? It's because it's so well done. It's so well written.
Really?
Yeah. And like you have
Is it
to,
a
like,
Canadian show?
it's Canadian. All like Canadian. A lot of the actors are Canadian. Like it's produced
It's with
by
Eugene Levy's son.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's Eugene's in it. Eugene Levy.
Oh,
and then
Eugene's in it.
Yeah, and then Dan Levy's in it as well, his son. And they actually play father-son in it. And it's basically, the reason why I like it is it's, okay, there's a couple reasons. So I'll just like break it down for you really quickly.
Explain the show first to our listeners.
For sure. So Schitt's Creek, basically it's about this like mega rich family. So they like owned this like Rose's Video, it was called. And it was like the contender to like Blockbuster. So it was like
Hold on, wait 1 second.
Yeah. So Schitt's Creek. So basically, the reason why I like it so much is because like so the show is about this like super rich family, and basically they didn't lose their money because they were like doing illegal stuff. They actually had like a business partner who like stole everything from them somehow, and like anyway, so they went from, and then they basically ended up in this village, this town called Schitt's Creek. And the reason why they ended up here is because for so Eugene Levy, for his son's birthday, back in like years and years and years ago, as a joke, he bought the son the deed to this town as like a joke. And so that was the only asset that the government didn't like repossess or whatever it was. And so they were like, well, you could like lay low here for a while because, you know, you can go and whatever, you can go to this town. So they end up in this town called Schitt's Creek. Anyway.
And it's funny because it's called Schitt's Creek, but it's spelled SCHITT.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
okay, continue.
And the thing is like the people there, like they basically meet all the locals, and the whole time, like it's this kind of like interesting, I guess problem is like you have this rich family that doesn't want to be there, right? They're like, they want to get back to their old life. But as the show goes on, the show really emphasizes the importance of like the value of making real lasting like friendships, relationships. Like it's like so beautiful.
It's deeper.
Yeah, there's such a huge, like much deeper element to it, and you see such character growth as well with the individuals, because like it's like so like it's so well done. And then
how many seasons have you watched? How many seasons are there?
There's only 6 seasons, and the interesting thing is
only 6 seasons.
Yeah, but the thing is, each episode, there's only like I think maybe 10 episodes each season, and each episode's like 20 minutes. Like they're short episodes, like super short.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is like, yeah, so there's that part of it where it's like, it creates this, and it's really sad because like the girl towards the end kind of sums it up when she's like, you know, you start to see these characters like really appreciate the value of those human connections. And the other element that I really liked about it is its representation of LGBT relationships.
Ooh, okay.
And they had a couple LGBT relationships, and they've presented it in such a way where basically Schitt's Creek, it's not like a euphoric place or anything like that, but it's just a place where nobody basically gives a fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody would like bat an eyelash or whatever. It's normalized. It's like, oh, this guy's dating this guy. Cool. You know what I mean? Like no one even thinks like, you don't have it. You there's no like homophobic
drama
vibe.
Yeah,
exactly. There's nothing, because you know a lot of shows, whenever they have like a gay couple or a lesbian couple, there's always like homophobes or there's some kind of like element of that. They just like wipe that out.
So they
completely.
make it like normalized. Oh, that's
exactly.
really good.
Normalized completely. So I don't know. I just freaking
You're
love it.
You're obsessed. You love it. It's like your new favorite show.
It is. It's like feel good. It's so well written.
I watched one episode.
It takes a little while to get into though, Rose. Yeah. Honestly, you start to like really like the characters, and the jokes are like they're just so classic, because like you have this family.
It takes a lot for me to get into a show. Okay, continue.
But like, because like the family, because they're like really rich and like self-centered from before.
Yeah.
Like just some of the comments that they say and like the stuff, it's just so fucking funny. Like,
okay, maybe I'll try to watch it again, because I mean, it's not that I didn't enjoy when I watched it, but yeah, it takes a lot for me to like keep watching a show, because it's like a lot of effort, and like 6 seasons is a lot.
Yeah, but they're only 20-minute episodes.
That's still a lot.
That's true. It is a time commitment, and it's just it's so good. I actually cried at the series finale, like in series 6. Like it's actually like because of how well written.
Though the thing is, like when you do watch like a show and you're like really invested in it, it's sad at the end. I know. Yeah, it is. I get it. I would cry.
It's like when Breaking Bad finished, you know, you're just kind of like, oh.
Okay, well, I didn't cry with Breaking Bad, but it was an emotional. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's over.
Yeah.
It was an emotional reaction.
And that was a time commitment, Rose. That was 5 seasons and each episode was like an hour.
Oh my God, but Breaking Bad was so good. I'm sorry, but that is a masterpiece and a half.
I know. It's such a well-done. You know what else is a really, really good series, though?
What?
Money Heist. It is so well done.
Did you? Okay, so I watched the first and second season. And I haven't watched the after that. Because I feel like...
I watched the third season as well. I think I've watched the third season. Yeah.
How was the third season?
It's still pretty good. I
feel like it got repetitive even from the second season.
Yeah, the first season was obviously the best. Like that was like the best. Like it was so well done.
So good.
Like so good. Because every time because whenever you have a show that keeps you guessing and you just don't know, that's when you know you're like, oh my God, this is a fucking good show.
And what I felt with the second season, and I still kind of enjoyed it, but I felt with the second season, it was almost like they kind of repeated a lot of the similar, you know. Guys, if you haven't seen Money Heist, it's a Spanish show where they basically the gist is that a few people, they basically go into the Bank of Spain. Is it the Bank of Spain?
I think
and
so,
they like try to steal a bunch of money. Okay. Or they try to print a bunch of money and they try to basically it's a money heist. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the premise, but it's like really, really well done. But okay, what I felt was that the second season was a little bit more, it was a little repetitive. Like it seemed almost like the first season a little bit.
Yeah. I can't remember which season, which stuff happened. Like I can't remember if it was the season 3 was I think season 3 was the most recent one where they, one of them gets captured by the government.
Okay.
And there's like a big drama and they decide to rob like an even bigger.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And wait, can we talk about who we thought was hot? Okay. So first of all, with this show, if you guys haven't watched it, they have like names for these people. They have aliases.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the reason they do it is because they don't want. It's like, for example, if me and Rose were going on a heist, right? we wouldn't want to use our real names because then if I'm like, oh, Rose, go over here, like it's gonna be so obvious. So they used city names. So they would pick like a random city, and all of them had city names. So
and who was your favorite?
I liked Rio.
I know you did. Rio
because
he's
just
cute.
He was just so cute, and he just seemed like a nice guy. Like you know.
But
what I mean?
What's weird is like I wasn't that into Rio.
And he's kind of boy next door.
Exactly. You would think that I'd be kind of into him, but okay. Who did I like? Oh, I like 2 guys. Okay.
Oh,
and they're
Rose,
both kind of assholes. They're both assholes, which is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is a show, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
What I like in shows is different from what I like in real
reality.
life. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, you're getting a treat. If you're still listening now, you're getting a treat. Okay. Anyways, so I know he was a complete asshole, but I liked Berlin.
Oh, I knew it. I remember you telling me, and I was like,
he was hot. He was a little bit weirdly hot. Like,
was it in season 2 that you had the that guy that was obsessed with him, and then they like they made out, or was that season 3?
Oh, like did he have a gay partner?
No, he had a gay friend. He had a gay friend who was like obsessed with him.
I don't know. Yeah, I do remember I think it was in season 2 where they introduced a new character that like you know, it was like his past lover or something. I don't know.
They weren't lovers. Like he.
Oh, Berlin? They weren't lovers. Okay, don't give it away, Daniel, in case nobody watched it.
That's true. Okay, and who's the other person, Rose?
Oh my God, which I can't remember what his name was. It was the one that. Oh, what city was he? He's the
Denver.
one that got Denver. Was it Denver? The one that got with the hostage.
Oh, that was Denver. Really? The one that had the weird laugh that was like.
Yeah.
Oh God!
I was kind of into Denver. Yes.
Oh, that's so funny.
Because the thing is, I liked him because he came across as like an asshole, kind of like you know, a bad guy. But then like when it came to, you know, like the stuff that mattered, like he was actually like kind of the good guy. Like he would do the nice thing. And I was like, oh my God. And he was kind of cute.
Yeah, he is good looking. He's good looking.
He was good looking.
I'm not gonna deny that, Rose.
Like if he started talking to me right now, I would be okay with it.
He's actually, interesting story.
Yeah?
He is actually from the city that I was teaching English in Spain.
Oh shit, he's from Murcia.
Yeah.
Shut the front door.
I remember one of my teachers, she was like, oh yeah, I don't think she said she knew him, but she like knew his family or something, because Mercy's a small city.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, that would be so weird if he came home for lockdown and I like ran into him in the street or something.
Oh, that'd be so weird.
Oh my God, how did this happen? Selfie.
Oh my God, I would die.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with these like famous people.
Oh
it's like,
God.
Okay, it's like if I have the hots for like some famous person, I would
it's their
not
character.
act. Huh?
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
No, it's not necessarily the character, but it's like, is that what you said? The character?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wouldn't necessarily be that, but it's more so that I wouldn't know how to act. Like I wouldn't act like I normally would in front of other people to this person. Because I think that would be the problem with like, if you are famous, people like just act weird around you because everyone's like, oh my God, like, you're like this famous person. And then you're like, okay. So you can't have like a normal conversation with somebody.
That's true. But you would try to like, I don't know. Yeah, that would be a tough one.
I feel like I would love to try to have a normal conversation, but then like, I would just be like, hi, I saw you in Money Heist.
Yeah.
You were awesome. Like, what would you say otherwise? Like, I would love to have I always envision myself having a very normal conversation with Jake Gyllenhaal and telling him all about my life and, flirting with him. But
and he reciprocates and asks you lots of questions and looks deeply into your eyes.
Why would he not?
Exactly.
But if I actually met him in real life, I would be like, oh my God, I love you.
You would fangirl.
Yeah, like I would totally fangirl, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I loved you in Brokeback Mountain. Can I take a selfie with you? Oh my God, like, yeah." And then that'd be it, and then it'd be over.
Yep.
And then he would never know my true, amazing, awesome, charming personality.
Yep. This is true, Rose. And on that happy note, I think it is...
We're going to end this.
Yeah, it is time to say goodbye, guys. So first of all, before we go, though, I just wanted to shout out to all of our listeners and all of our watchers from across this year. This has been a crazy year for everyone. And, it's just been really nice to go on this journey with you and celebrate 1 year of the SaVeg podcast, which is super exciting. And thank you for your, continued support, continuing to listen and watch and engage with us. So it's definitely meant a lot to me, and I know to Rose as well throughout this year.
Yes.
So,
Oh, Daniel, you'll be making me emotional.
Oh, God damn.
I can't believe it's been a year, guys.
I know, it's crazy. It does seem like just yesterday. This is like time's flying so fast. It seems like just yesterday we're like, let's start this. And on another note, guys, if you're not already and you want to, watch us, if you're not watching us now and you want to see what we're wearing and stuff, especially in today's episode, check us out on YouTube. It's the SaVeg Podcast. We have all of the video versions of the episodes on there. And obviously feel free to comment, subscribe, give us thumbs up. Obviously, we're on all of the major podcast apps, Spotify, all of that. And we have an Instagram account at the SaVeg Podcast. And if you guys want exclusive access to the episodes a week early, and also ad-free versions of all the episodes, and a bonus episode every single month. That's right, guys. Every single month, an extra episode. Check us out at patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add, Rose?
That was a great plug.
All right.
Wow.
Well,
all we need is a little bit of wine and Daniel, and he is a professional podcaster.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the thing you should know by now, Rose. Is if you want me to get professional, just get me drunk, and then professional, exuberant professional.
And guys, once again, if you're still listening, what was the line that Daniel wants you to type in the comments?
Rose, the red-nosed reindeer. There we go.
Rose, the red-nosed reindeer. Type it down because then we can see who's our real fans.
Exactly. Oh, no. Anyway, have a great Christmas, guys. And speak very, very soon and take care over the holidays.
Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye, guys.